Hey everybody! Look, we have a special guest for once.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, I don't have guests on here that often. Like, I'm being serious. And also, for many of you who know, I'm using my old camera today because more than half the time, if I'm not using my 1080p one, I'm using this one. But yeah, coming to join me is at ghostyboy_live. Oh my gosh,
Hello.
how have you been? That's the first thing. I feel like I don't ask that enough.
I've been okay. Just doing streaming stuff. Yeah, and also working.
Yep, that sounds about right. I mean, same here. I also meant to ask when you asked about like the time zone stuff. Where like what region do you live in? Like, are you in the U.S.? Are you in like Canada? Like, where specifically? Because I feel like I never got that information, even though you said you were a streamer.
I live in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Different region though, right? Like different part. Like you're not like
Yeah.
northeastern. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm from the northeastern portion of the U.S. I come from New Jersey, so it was
Nice.
like very different when you said, "Yeah, I'm in a different time zone." Like completely. I was like,
I had to make sure because like a lot of my friends aren't in the same time zone as I am. And so,
yeah.
like, yeah.
And also for you guys, I am linking some of the stuff that's working on my Twitch chat because I can't do it through here now for some reason. But I linked my Twitter here if you guys want to get any Twitter updates. And I especially was hinting at this through Twitter for like, I think 2 days beforehand. And I told my moderators, which I feel bad because none of my moderators are in here right now.
Oh, no.
It's okay. The one moderator, she like never talks to me, and the other person's my brother. And half the time, he's never here to do streams with me, so he doesn't mind.
Oh, no.
It's okay. I honestly am not mad. But yeah, this dude, he is freaking awesome. I think it's very nice that we get to collaborate for once. And this is actually, I think, the first time I've ever collaborated with anybody on a stream.
Really?
So yeah, I've never gotten the opportunity to collaborate with people, mainly because don't get me wrong, I've been getting sick like practically every month. So it's kind of just like been a health issue on top of health issue. But besides that, I've also been like just really hinting at this because I was so excited. Like I've like there's nothing more exciting than doing a stream with somebody, not just anybody, but someone brand new who understands where you're coming from. And then right before we went on, we were just talking about certain setups we have, and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. I have this kind of setup too. So
Nice. Yeah. One of somebody redeemed. No, never mind. Don't listen to me. I'm just looking at my activity, and I am not used to using my phone.
Yeah.
Chat, but I can't
Yeah.
see. I don't have the Twitch overlay. Right here,
Yeah,
so-
I gotcha. Yeah. For me, that's always been my thing. Like, I've always looked at the Twitch one because I'm using it off of a different platform where I'm streaming from. As people know, I stream off of my laptop, and more than half the time, the stuff I do normally is just chatting. Like, I try to do this, and then sometimes we'll react to YouTube videos. Like, those are always fun. But sometimes I'm also like playing off of a kid's website. I finally made a clip on it for once for TikTok. I forgot to put a title on it, but it didn't matter. Not a lot of people liked it, but it was just like, it's a small bit of what I actually do. So
Nice.
yeah. And like, it's so funny because the way I'm speaking to you, I feel like I'm like talking to you through like a podcast almost.
It kind of does feel like that. Like,
Yeah, and I like that vibe.
Yeah, it's a nice vibe. Hold on, I'm gonna go close my shade because it's bright out.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. You do you. While he's like, oh. Sorry, I wasn't expecting this. Yeah.
What's up?
Not much. Oh, thank you. Thank you for following Starboy1. This is awesome. Okay. But one of the things I was gonna mention as well, because now chat is like kind of overlaying right on your face, but I was gonna say one of the crazier things I think about whenever I think about collaboration or collabing with anybody is that most of the time, not that I can't do it, it's more like it's very hard to find people who are also streaming with you and they're smaller in the community, or like if you do find people who have less viewers or people who are part of the smaller community, it's kind of really hard to find people with the same niche interests and all that.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of interesting to see that, especially as I'm kind of not returning to streaming, but like really taking on streaming as a firsthand thing, but then coming back to content creation altogether, because I know I have made content before. Like, I have a YouTube channel. If you guys want to check that out, I'll probably link it in chat as well. But like, pretty much, I remember like I first made a YouTube video about something in my fandom that I was super big on, and I just linked. Yeah, and it was a video. I promoted it really well, and it got like 230 something views within that time. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's older. It's 2 years old, and recently I've been making a video kind of touching on something I kind of went through in that video, but not as in depth. And don't get me wrong, I filmed actual video clips. Like, I posted it on Twitter. I brought up how like the video clips have been going and stuff. But like, as I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, wait, did I really just take the lazy route out of this? Because we were going to do a whole deep dive, and like, it gets crazy. So it's not weird getting back into content creation for me. It's kind of more like, okay, getting back in the mojo and realizing that I actually still want to continue going down this route. And then streaming kind of gave me an open gate to open into the fact that I'm more than just a streamer who makes content based on my fandom, you know?
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, and it's honestly really fun, because it's just like I can like step away from that and enjoy what I'm doing. And I think I liked when I first found you, because it was kind of more like, okay, you're playing into the realm of Minecraft. That was something I was very into as a child. And even as an adult, I still feel very good and keen into it. I also have found that half the people you like certain people-wise, I get it. They're from the Dream SMP. And here's the thing. People are probably going to call me a fake fan for this, but I found the Dream SMP in a way that was not, I guess, the same, if you know what I mean. Yeah, like I kind of found it more with like B-Duo edits and like Tavo. Yeah.
I actually got into the Dream SMP because of cosplays on TikTok. I was like, these are really cool cosplays. I want to be in this fandom.
Yeah, I get that. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I also got into it late. Like I started like 2020. Like I was like,
oh, that's not that late.
I mean, it was August of 2021, so it was like a little late.
It wasn't that late though. I will say, like with me, I was really late. I got into the fandom actually end of 2022.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
Yeah, so I like kind of got into it like towards when Dream SMP just died a little bit, and everyone was like, "There's such a toxic SMP," you know, all this stuff, and also just coming into a place where I kind of fell for two streamers and their friendship that just fizzled out. And like everybody was like on the hot take of it, being like, "Oh yeah, B-Duo is done," and blah, and all this stuff. And then I like watch it, I'm like, can we not have Dan and Phil again? Like their fandom and how that was in the beginning. You know?
Yeah, I completely get that.
Yeah, and so like I feel like people, whenever they bring up anything like entering a fandom or even trying to create your own brand outside of the fandom you started with, it gets very complicated, it gets very complex.
Yeah.
And
like, it's kind of hard for me, it's hard to separate. Well, it's not very hard to separate, but like my whole thing is that I'm Wilbur Soot but gayer, and I have a better hairline than him. like that's my whole shtick. And it's very, very funny.
I love that for you. Just
thank you. I like, yeah. It's, and then like me and my friends are like, oh, my funnel's inside out. I didn't realize.
Oh,
inside out.
I get it.
I do that all the time. But like my friend Krim, they're like off-brand Tommy. Because like me and them have like a Wilbur and Tommy like sibling relationship.
Yeah, parasocial siblings. I get you. Yeah.
yeah. And then my friend Butter is off-brand Quackity because he really, really likes Quackity, and he like TNT duo. That's our whole bit. We're off-brand TNT duo. It's great. Oh
my gosh, I love that. Just off-brand of. Yeah, And I will say, like I said, that's kind of how I entered Dream SMP. It was more like with B Duo and seeing a lot of the fan edits people made. And I kind of dived into that a lot because hyperfixations, as I meant to say to most of my audience, we're both autistic, okay?
Yes, I'm not diagnosed though.
I'm not diagnosed either. You're good. We get it. We get it.
Doctors are so expensive. Doctors are so expensive. It is not.
It is not fun. Yeah, the American healthcare system is.
It sucks.
It sucks. It sucks. And it's worse depending on what states you're in, too, because certain states have certain laws that prohibit certain procedures that should be a basic human right to get. Sure. So it's just it varies based on not only where you are in the United States, but also what laws are in place. So it just, but regardless, but regardless, getting an autism diagnosis kind of is like a whole crapshoot in itself that gets very different. It's difficult and it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and I'm saying this both as somebody who is a cisgendered woman, who is a woman of color, of all things, who also falls into the line of working class. So it becomes very difficult in those prejudices in itself. And being somebody who's also, like, realized that they actually, like, let me ask this before I make the assumption. How old are you?
I'm 18. I'm turning 19 in less than 2 months, though.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
I will say, when I was your age, when I was 18, I entered college. And don't get me wrong, one of my biggest special interests that I bring up now, and I have a very popular TikTok video about it. Oh my gosh, I did not mean to click on that on my phone. But yeah, no. But I have a very popular TikTok, if you guys want to go check that out. And it's like, and he uses the audio that's like, it's like, you want to hear about my theories? That kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I used that audio to talk about the fact that I was autistic, and people like, oh, I saw that. That was okay.
My light does that. It does that. Okay. So funny story. This is an IKEA lamp. It's an IKEA lamp, and I got it in the like, you know, those like clearance, the rebuy section.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I get you. There. Yeah, I will say I haven't been to an IKEA since, like, the fact that I have to think all this is the bad part. It's probably been somewhere in the mid 2010s that I last went to an IKEA. I have not gone in so long. Yeah, I have not. Especially where I live, what doesn't help is it's a very long drive to go to IKEA where I'm at.
Yeah.
So it's more like we're going on the highway and we're probably in the car for like an hour and a half just to get there. Mm-hmm. And then to get back, it's like the same distance, if not with pit stops. Yeah. But basically trying to get to the point I was making, how I discovered I had autism, I feel like this is what it's going to end up becoming, like this whole stream. Actually came to be when I was 18. I entered college during the pandemic because my senior year, unfortunately, ended during the pandemic. So I basically had nothing to do. But basically, I entered college. I take 2 classes because I was having a whole panic attack about taking 5 and being full-time. Yeah. And FAFSA didn't do anything, by the way, even though I was poor enough to qualify in some sense. Yeah, I know. It is a very fickle thing. But basically, it was when I took my first psych class, my Psych 101, which for the state of New Jersey, for anybody who doesn't live in New Jersey, you are required when you entered college to take in English, a math, history, psychology class, and one other selected class when you enter college.
That's too many.
Exactly. But the best part is you can space them out so you don't have to automatically do them all in one year, which is what makes it great. And because I was doing part-time student, I was also working during the pandemic. I was an essential worker technically. So
yeah.
But basically what happened was until I was doing my homework one night, because I was procrastinating. I was doing it off of a laptop that my grandmother got me. It was smaller than this one. And I sat there reading, just my eyeballs hurting. It's late at night. I'm reading this like textbook that's telling me every 15 minutes that I'm inactive. And I'm like, I'm trying here. Like, let me do my fucking like textbook work. And it was more this like question came back in my head that somebody asked me when I was in high school. And someone who I'm not friends with anymore. Like, there's reasons why you cut off toxic people. I'll just say that now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what happened was after I read a certain part, I was like, it made me question if I was autistic. So it's like that question came back in mind. And then I kind of started doing research into it in my own creative way. Like I went through it by watching YouTube videos, and what didn't help is I shared a room with my older sister. So my older sister was getting so effing annoyed. But, but I can't help her on that, okay? Like we shared a room all our lives. There was no way she could have gotten out of it.
Yeah, I shared a room with my younger brother for most of my life as well.
Like, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's terrible when you share a room with another person, because then you're like, I'm changing. Can you like understand what I'm? Yeah. It's
my brother was super weird about that though, because I'd be like, he'd be like up in his bed. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna change. He's like, okay. And then as soon as I take my pants off, because said he was fine with it. Like I had boxers on and shit. He was like, ow, why are you changing? Get out. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, like what the hell? Like, yeah, I've just told you what I'm about to do. Yeah.
He's also autistic, so like,
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, very
he's professionally diagnosed.
Okay, yeah.
I think like good for him, right?
Like good for him, but also like understand a lot of women in AFABs are heavily underdiagnosed with either ADHD, autism, and a lot of other neurotypical, well, not neurotypical, but neurodivergent neurological disorders that like don't commonly get talked about enough. And I feel like
I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was 17, and I've shown signs of that since I was a kid.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't even get diagnosed with ADHD either. But here's the thing, I can't exactly deny that teachers were wrong in that sense. I think the only thing that makes it so off-putting if I did is that I actually have a really good fucking memory, like a really good long-term memory. So it's very off-putting for many people whenever I talk about things. And I'm like, oh, do you remember this from my childhood? And everyone's like, Emily, I think that's only you. I'm like, yeah.
I think it depends with me, because like I have a lot of memory issues, but also I can remember super niche things that happened to me when I was a child.
Oh yeah, oh my god, I get it, yeah. The lights just flickering are gonna be the best part of the stream, I swear.
It's just, oh my god, my DMs are going fucking ham. One sec.
I get you. Oh my god. But like, like, I forget that as I'm here, I can like move your thing. Oh, I'm not reordering you. Nope. No. Never mind. Let me not click the mouse and F up how the stream setup looks. But yeah, no, I was never professionally diagnosed. I had teachers who very rudely told my mother to get me tested when I was like 9 in elementary school. And I remember hearing a bit of that conversation as a kid. And honestly, teachers in school were not great for me. Like, I was bullied all my life until I reached high school. So, and then it was kind of like this really hard, oh my god, I'm not being bullied anymore. What do I do about this kind of thing? As well as understanding that a lot of my own deficits, as I, like I said, I realized it when I was 18. I was in college. And I basically had what was essentially a quarter life crisis in some sense. And I, don't get me wrong, I went downhill a little bit. Like, I had my seasonal depression pop up, like always, because it had popped up since I was like 14. I'm grateful that and hoping that this will be my 3rd year where that doesn't happen.
Nice. Congrats.
Yes. Thank you. But I remember like just essentially just the research and doing all these different like online medical tests and just everything for the autism bit. It not only started to make sense, it started to make me question who the hell I was. Because it was like, because it's like you realize this and you're like, wait a second, am I not who I thought I was? And it made me question every niche detail of who I was. And it was insane. It was so insane. Because it's like I'm in college, I'm discovering this, and no one has told me my entire life that the reason I'm probably weird is because I probably am autistic.
Literally, like when I got diagnosed with ADHD, I was like, yeah, like I had to like force my mom to like get me to get me an appointment to get diagnosed, because I was like, Mom, I think I have ADHD, and she's like, no you don't, stop. And I'm like, Mom, I think I have ADHD. And she was like, okay, if you have ADHD, what is the diagnosis going to change for you? Like, what are you going to do with the diagnosis? And I'm like, I don't know, like, actually know how to deal with it.
Oh my god, I totally get what you're saying, yeah. Because also I have people ask me that about, even now, being like, oh, but what would an autism diagnosis do for you? I'm like, it would benefit in cases, especially because,
especially in medical cases, because, like, you need a diagnosis to, like,
yeah,
get specific care.
yeah,
And
not
it's
only
shitty.
just, exactly, it's like not just specific care, but you also like, depending on if you want to apply for disability, which disability benefits in the US also suck if you ever look into that. It's actually very shitty. They require you to be making less than $1,000 each year in order to benefit. Yeah, even if you prove that you can manage keeping your work, your bank accounts technically have to be under someone else's name or written under someone else's name. Like, you basically, nothing is to your name with
Yeah, if you,
disability
like,
if you ever apply. Yeah.
like, they're infantilizing you. They're treating you like a child that doesn't have who
Well,
doesn't
not
have autonomy over their own
but
things.
this isn't just people who are autistic. Everybody who, well, not even just, well, most people who are under disabled and have disability in, sense of application in the US,
Yeah.
it's fucked over because you just kind of get screwed with both being told, oh yeah, but you have to be making this in order to get SS, like, Social Security money, because that's also where it's coming out of. It's coming out of
Yeah.
Social Security. But two, it's screwing over in the fact that it's not just autistic people. This is people who also have Down syndrome or any other neurological or physical, like,
Disability.
disability in some sense. Yeah. And it's like, what do you do about that? Because nobody is going to come and, be a savior. No one is. There is no idea. And also people who like to pretend they have a savior complex, it becomes very toxic and intoxicating in some sense.
Yeah. And it's like the American healthcare system is dog water. Like,
Oh, it is. It is.
So bad. It's so bad.
But they screw over disabled people, whether they're properly diagnosed or not. And it's kind of like, oh, I'm trying to figure out if I'm disabled. Okay, well, great. Now you got to go through a slew of things and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just to get the care you need.
Yeah, and like that, and then afterwards you still have to pay for the care that you need, and it's
exactly, and that in itself is also another accumulated thousands of dollars in itself. It's insane. It's like pretty much and even as an adult who was looking for care, they even told me, they're like, yeah, out of pocket, you're paying like $6,000, right? I'm like, what?
I don't even have enough money. Like, oh no, like $6,000 for a fucking autism diagnosis.
Not even just that. That was just for like the screening, just to get looked in there. That was $6,000 in itself. That wasn't even the evaluation or anything. Exactly. So it just gets very messy, very crazy, very on itself. And honestly, I did not think we were going to get political this early in like the afternoon. But like, it's a crazy process.
It is, and it's stupid, and it shouldn't have to be like this.
It shouldn't, and it's very upsetting to watch how things are going, just in general with this kind of stuff. And I feel like, just regardless of how old you are, regardless of who you are, it should not be, oh, but like, oh god, I'm going to tell you a good story. This is a really good story time in itself. But it should not be that it takes me as an adult to advocate for myself to tell you, hey, I might be autistic, here's why, and then a doctor literally telling you, oh, but they probably would have caught that on when you were a child. And I'm like, oh, I'm not joking. I went to my PCP. This is the story now. I'm going to bring it up. I went to my PCP. I went to a new doctor for the first time in a long time because, one, I have state insurance, and two, there's only so much you can do on state insurance before everyone tells you to go F off. Oh, that sucks more when you don't have it, yeah. But state insurance, I have it through my family, and I've been lucky enough that I've had it at this age because I know my sister, for some reason, from the state, was cut off at 18. I was not, because I was doing mental health services. Other than that, like, I was doing therapy for a while. This is the first time I haven't been. Although my plan says that based on the plan I have, that if I continue to do mental health services, they have to keep providing for me until I hit the cutoff age. So I got lucky, basically. But that also means I still have to have proof of records that I'm still continuing mental health services. So if I don't continue, they could cut me off, probably. Yeah. But who knows? But basically, I went to a new PCP. I had to get stuff done with my insurance, too. Like, I had to call them. And I don't like calling people, guys. Like, I don't. And I think I tweeted about this earlier today. Like, I was like, do you ever just hate the anxiety you have because you have to call people and you don't want to call people? But then when you eventually do, you just continue calling all the other people you needed to call because you have to, not because you wanted to at that point. Yeah. I tweeted that out earlier today. That was actually really fun. But God, I went to this new PCP, this new doctor, you know, everything got organized through the insurance. Well, I go in and I sit with her and she goes, well, why are you here today? I'm like, well, for a physical, you know, because I was like, it's my first checkup in a long time. I better get my stuff done. And, you know, I wasn't stupid about it. I was like, you're supposed to go in like annually, so like every year. But, you know, this was a new doctor, and I wasn't mad about it. So I was like, all right, cool. And don't get me wrong, I go to my doctor because I need certain care. I actually was supposed to go to my doctor today, now that I'm talking about it, which is ironic, but that's a whole other story. But I go into her office. I sit there after, you know, talking to the tech. And the techs are way nicer, no offense. And I've worked as a medical technician before. Give us a bit of credit here. We do a lot of the dirty work that the nurses and doctors don't do. But pretty much after talking to the tech and everything, you know, she comes in, she's like, what are you here for? You know, I'm like, I'm here for my physical. And then after the physical, she's like, yeah, but what else are you here for? Because, you know, apparently there has to be some other reason that you're here at the doctor. Now, weird. It is weird, but I'll explain this in a little bit more hindsight and context just for you and everybody else who's watching. But technically, the doctor I go to, their entire facility, as well as the 2 other locations they have, are connected to one hospital. And this big hospital, mind you, depending on how many times you've gone to the ER or whatnot, that's the only records they have of you if you come in as a new patient. Exactly. So, like, all your other medical records from other doctors, if you did not bring them with you or did not update your stuff in their medical app, which I feel like some of them don't look at, they have nothing on you. So it's kind of like a very messy thing.
That's very messy.
Yeah. So I had to basically kind of come in and be like, right. Just frustration right through, just searing through me. And I'm already, like, anxious. Like, I'm high amounts of anxiety, all right? And she's just like, what do you want? Like, not trying to be rude, but she's coming off that way. She just genuinely wants to know why I'm there, besides the physical thing. And I tell her, I'm like, well, I was wondering if I could get a referral to, you know, neurology. Because that's one of the few routes you can take, as well as the psychiatry route. And then from there, it would still fall into neurology.
Yeah.
It's complicated BS. And basically, I go, and I tell her why. And she proceeds to go, yeah, but normally they would, like, see that in your childhood, have you... But here's the thing she actually continues with, and I was actually very okay with hearing this bit, even though the first bit, I was like, why did you just say that? Like, I am a college psychology major dropout, and I know more about, just from actual research I've done, both visual and, like, contextualized research.
Yeah.
As well as just, like, reading up on neurological disorders in itself and being like, yeah, but you don't get what I'm trying to say here. Like, but I don't say that. And what I proceed to say is I go, well, yes, I do see patterns in my childhood because, 1, I'm trying to be professional, and 2, we're in New Jersey. That's the best context I can put in there. For anybody who doesn't know anyone from New Jersey, we are considered the second rudest state next to New York. Sometimes.
That makes sense.
Like, we're considered rude.
My state is, like, the passive-aggressive state.
Oh, wait, are you guys, like, California or Wisconsin?
No. I'm in Minnesota.
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a little more west than where I am. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see that. Yeah, no, the point being, we live in New Jersey and I'm not trying to be rude because, now we get that context out of the way. Um, so then I start bringing up patterns, and I'm not going to get into full detail. I just brought up how, as a child, there were a lot of both very huge, like very noticeable issues that I've noticed even as an adult and getting older and realizing that was very prominent. Like
Mm-hmm.
something as simple as, like, for example, my anxiety used to be a lot more external. Like you could tell a lot more when I was in distress versus now where you can't. And I
Mm-hmm.
found that to be a very weird change as I got older. Uh, but it was real. It was there. Um, and then also a lot of my overstimulation issues were a lot more prominent when I was a child versus as an
Same.
adult, where the only one that is still prominent is light. And I bring it up to people a lot because here's the thing: you can be autistic, but like your thing is a pie chart, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody has different needs, whether it's sensory or like anything, and it's just, and everyone thinks that autistic people are all the same or that it's a very linear spectrum, and it's like, first of all, throw that
No,
crap out. It's a pie chart. It's a fucking pie chart.
it's better. Yeah.
It's a pie chart with different levels of needs and accommodations, and it just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But I was bringing up how, like, in my childhood, that was very much present in both my social game, especially very high in my social game, but also
Same.
in how I slipped through the education system. And when they asked about education wise, they asked me if they ever did anything. And I said, the most the education system did, and I'm being very serious, and I'm partially quoting, unquoting certain bits here, but it was more like a, oh yeah, so like, did the school system say anything about it? I was like, I've only had one teacher ever say to get me tested for anything. But besides that, teachers would test me without asking me my consent. They would just say, yeah, no, we're going to do this next time we meet. And I'm like,
That's
okay. And I would be tested kind of against my will
gross.
on, well, yeah, but it was more like tested based off of my English and math skills, especially because when I was younger, that used to be something I was poor in. And don't get me wrong, that's a whole other route with my education journey, if any of you guys want to hear that. But like, straight up, I was like, I would get tested kind of against my will about my math and reading abilities, and it would be very inconclusive for them because they could see that I did do very well. Like, I'm not stupid. That's another thing.
Oh yeah, no.
Um,
Like I'm not stupid either. I have a difficult time with education.
exactly. And the education system also fails people who are not diagnosed when they're a child too.
Yeah.
But when I brought up those points to my doctor, that's what made her go, okay, let me take this a little more seriously. Because it's not like you're saying, oh, but I don't know. It's like, no, you've done what you've done enough to get looked at,
Yeah.
to get seen. So, like, that's what made that person's head go, okay, I have to say something and not, be critical on it. Like, they've done what they've had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had me, talk to the people up at the front desk to see about getting scheduled for neurology. I'll say this now. It's not that I was frustrated about the time, it's what happened right after. So pretty much, I talked to the people up there, we get it scheduled. It's not going to be till September, which for many people who are questioning about how long an autism diagnosis can be, you can be on a wait list for years before you get a call telling you that you can come in. So being told by somebody that a neurologist might be able to see them within a time frame of, let's say, this was probably back in like February, so in a frame of about like more than like about 6 months, maybe more. That's not
Yeah.
bad, actually. That's a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
But, about a month or not even a month, it's like a few weeks later, I get a call from the hospital that they're connected to. And one of the technicians for that doctor tells me, yeah, so our neurology team, we don't do autism evaluations. But here's a number for somewhere that does. Your face is exactly how I felt in that moment. Like, it's
Oh
just
man.
pure just shock and just honest, like, I'm gonna kill somebody if they keep this up. Yeah.
That's That's such shit, though, because, like, medical professionals need to be able to communicate with each other and communicate with their fucking patients.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. And being somebody who worked in healthcare and being within the healthcare system, it sucks regardless, from both ends. And honestly, what made it harder when I got that call was being like, it's like just the face you made, but also this feeling of, great, now I gotta make a call myself to even see if they can take me.
Yeah.
So I call.
You're probably gonna have to wait like 6 months to a year or even more.
Exactly. And then honestly, this journey is so insane as I keep telling the story because this goes further than you think.
Oof.
So yeah. So I call them, and the person I'm talking to at the desk, I'm assuming her name's Jane or something. She tells me, "Oh yeah, so you need a referral from your doctor." So now I have to schedule it again. So I scheduled to go to my PCP, the one that I was just talking to you about. And I go back, and mind you, by the time I go back, it's like I'm recovering from being sick sometime last month, and oh my god, that was insane, because it was during my birthday month of all things. It's like, yay, I turned 21. Awesome, I'm sick too.
Ugh.
Amazing. We figured out why. Don't get me wrong. I should be getting better if I continue down the road of what they recommended me to do.
Nice.
So it's a good thing. But pretty much what happens is I go to my doctors, I tell them what's going on, and that, what they basically told me on the phone. They were also kind of frustrated because they're like, really? Okay. And then they're having a hard time finding the place to even put in that they're a doctor referring me.
Yeah.
They put in the referral. Not gonna lie, 2 days, like either 2 days or a day, it was a short amount of time after they put that in, that place also calls me, asks me what insurance I have, and then what plan coverage, because that's how deep it goes. It's like, you can have a certain insurance, but then based on the certain plan, they can either accept or deny it. And they basically told me that the one I have, they don't provide for. Exactly.
I don't understand.
I don't understand why they did that either. But they did. What I did get lucky was they're like, yeah, no, unfortunately, if we were going to refer you anywhere, meaning this is a big, like, we have to see what we can do, but if we were to refer you anywhere, we'd have to refer you to a completely different hospital. Exactly. And then that's where the story, like, ends right now, because I am still kind of like, do I want to go back to my doctor, bring this up, because there are other things I need to get done, like, health-wise. And I'm like, this is a frustrating journey already. Like, whew. Oh my god. It's so insane. I swear, I would never want anybody to deal with a doctors like this in their lifetime. Like, this is just terrible.
Yeah. I think, like, I am not a person that gets, like, sick easily, which is nice. Like,
well, that's good, yeah.
Yeah. I have chronic pain. My knees are shit. I need to get, like, I don't know if that's something I can get diagnosed or not, but, like, is there any point in getting it diagnosed?
I get what you mean, yeah.
I do need to check up on my teeth, though, because, like, I went to the dentist last year, like, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And, like, I have my wisdom teeth coming in. They're coming in. Like, a few weeks ago, they were, like, my mouth is super achy, and I had a cut in my mouth that wasn't healing, and so that like amplified the pain.
Yeah, I get you.
From my teeth, but now they're fine. So hopefully I don't have to do anything with them, and hopefully I don't have to pay any money to get them removed.
Oh my god, Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't deal with a lot of doctors, and I'm not on my parents' insurance anymore because I got kicked off of it when I was 18.
Yeah. I've seen, that's a theme. Like I said, my sister had that happen to her. I think I just got, like I said, very lucky because they had to keep me on there for mental health reasons and the fact that I was doing therapy. And it was offered to me by the state. So then they had to continue.
I had my parents have special insurance, though.
Oh, what do you mean
Yeah.
by special? Like, is it like they're military, or is it because of like?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
actually
my
not
dad's
bad.
military. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. My father's a veteran as well. I don't
Mhm.
have, but we don't have that mainly because my dad, based on where he works, he still works as a captain. He works on boats,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure his job still connects with some form of one of the military branches still. So it's not like
Mhm.
there isn't any connection to the military. I sound so nasally. Oh my god. I don't know. I'm just like trying not to die here. I'm trying to breathe.
Oof. Have you taken allergy meds?
That's the thing. It's not allergies. I know what it is. It's a weird little viral thing, and it's
Oof.
very quick. And I'm like, and the only thing I have left is the congestion. And I'm like,
I hate
fun.
congestion.
Oh, I hate it too. And I think that's what makes it worse whenever I get sick. Because here's the thing: I was never sick very easily in the past. I
Mhm.
think the only reason I've gotten so sick very quickly and very easily is one, my health has been so weird. And when you were talking about the teeth thing, I was like, dude, I have a good story for you on that.
Ooh.
I have very good stories on that. But oh god, what was my point? Damn it. This happens too many times too. Like when I'm on stream, I'm like, wait a second, what was I talking about?
I do that all the
Um,
time.
yeah. And then oh shoot. Yeah, and that's what it was. And then when I stopped doing school and like the pandemic hit and stuff,
Mhm.
and based on the fact that I live with a lot of people, because let me give this some quick context. I am one of 8 children. I live with most of my siblings, except for my
Oof.
older sister, because my sister moved out and decided to live with her. Well, he's now her husband at the time, but at the time it was her boyfriend and his family.
Mhm.
So it was a very different circumstance. But yeah, and it's just that as well. So it's like kids going to school and constantly being around people, both when I work and when I'm home. So it's kind of like never ending,
Yeah.
regardless. And also stress, but like that's a that's a different story in itself. And I have fun stories about working in healthcare too, or fun stories because when I talk about it, anybody who's wondering what the heck I'm gonna say next is the funniest thing ever. Because here's some good context for me. I get like hospitals freak me the f out. That's the first thing.
I don't like hospitals either.
Yeah, but two, my one of my biggest fears is going insane.
Oof.
Exactly, and that's maniophobia. But there's multiple names for the fear of going insane, so that's just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the irony I had at 19 was that I worked in a mental hospital
Oh,
as a psychiatric technician.
damn.
Exactly. So I worked in a in two things. It's like I kind of was doing two different like things that freaked me out, just put together, made a baby, and then prayed that everyone was okay.
I love that. I love
Like
that.
that is exactly what it is when I tell people. I'm like, yeah, I work in a psych hospital as a psychiatric technician, yet I'm freaked out by hospitals and I'm scared of going insane.
But still,
Woohoo!
I did it.
I
I
did
love
it for
that.
a bit. Yeah. But I was gonna say also one of the reasons I didn't have state insurance, because they had to give it back to me because I worked at that job and applied for insurance there.
Mm-hmm.
Now don't get me wrong, what I learned later on is that the insurance I got from that job was very shitty insurance. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
But I would never ask for somebody to ever do that job unless they have both the persistence and the patience to deal with patients like that in that kind of specialty of care.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be willing to work in a hospital again? I'm not opposed to it. Like, if that was my only other choice, I definitely would. But I'm not opposed to working in a hospital. Like, I would not be upset about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that was an experience, both because I was in college and I wanted to at least try a career that was somewhat based in what I was studying. So it's kind of like, awesome, I'm a psych major, let me do a job involving psych. And yeah, and that was a trip in itself. And there probably are a few stories I can tell, but I'm not going to, mainly for the disclosure of both the people I worked with and the patients I had.
Yeah.
So those stories are more going to be very sealed up for right now. But you know, any other time I probably would be able to tell it. But the teeth story, that one actually comes with, I was your age, I was 18. But when I was 15, when I first got my braces, and mind you, I don't exactly remember this to a T. I think I wrote it down and there's pictures somewhere that I can look at. Basically, early on, I was told that I had to have surgery.
Oof.
Yeah, but I had to have surgery on my jaw. So the way my jaw looks now is not the same as it was when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
And there are photos from like my personal Instagram and stuff, which you follow the one I have for everybody here to follow.
Yeah.
But on my personal Instagram, maybe I can share you like a photo from that time at some point. But basically, they told me I had to have surgery because my jaw was misaligned and everything.
Oof.
So, first of all, we went through the braces. We did the whole thing. Love that. Don't get me wrong, it's a little shifted because I haven't worn my retainers. So, but that's bound to happen. But basically, later on, through my braces journey as I'm 18, I'm getting, like, and I went to the doctor the year before that was supposed to do my surgery. He said I wasn't ready yet. Where my jaw was and everything. And the way, because they had to have bands so that my teeth and jaw shifted a bit, which, mind you, was very painful. Like, I won't lie and not say it wasn't painful, because it was, regardless. But it took until I was 18 for them to do the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy, because during the time that I was able not only to just sign my consent forms, but just be able to look at x-rays and stuff, it was the pandemic already. Everybody was in lockdown. I had to go from basically where I live here in southern New Jersey all the way up to Newark, New Jersey. Now, for any of you who don't know where that is, Rutgers University is a very famous university. Okay? It's well known. But Rutgers has a campus in Newark, and it's very popular. And there's 3 locations, because it's New Brunswick, Newark, and Camden.
I think I've heard New Brunswick.
Makes sense, yeah. Because New Brunswick is the most popularized one. That's the one most people tend to go to. But basically, Newark is located in, like, northern, central New Jersey. And so I had to go all the way up to Newark, which is, of course, pretty much an hour and a half away from where I am. And I remember just sitting there, and one of his residents told me, he goes, yeah, so we looked at your x-rays, and your wisdom teeth are also impacted, which is probably why you're feeling more pain than normal. So I was expecting this, because one of the things that also was my problem is that my mouth is really small, so I can't fit all my teeth, technically. Yeah, and I only had my tooth pulled, like, once. And I'm grateful that at least it was one tooth and not, like, 5 or 6.
Yeah, I haven't had any teeth pulled. I haven't had any surgeries before. Like, I've also never broken a bone. I've gotten close to breaking bones, but I've never broken a bone.
Yeah, I've never broken a bone either. I think I've gotten close to breaking one, though, too. And, like, I have very fun, like, injury medical stories. Like, this is gonna be great.
I have one really good one that, like, I tell, like, literally everybody. It's very funny.
Oh, all right. I'll finish the story, then you tell me yours. Oh my god. Yeah, so basically, one of the best parts that they got to tell me when they saw my x-rays was they're like, so, because you signed your consent forms already and stuff, we'll just take out your wisdom teeth while you're under the anesthetics, I was like, okay, that works. Works for me. But yeah, the horror of waking up from the anesthetic. Nobody talks about it, because, like, you can either wake up from anesthetic and feel great, or you can wake up and be horrified.
Yeah.
For me, I got the horror.
No.
So, here comes June. So, about the time that I'm getting my surgery done, like I said, everyone's still in lockdown. I know the exact date because it was also my brother-in-law's birthday when I had to go in. Nice. So, it was June 26th, 2020. I go in. Me and my mom, we both stayed up all night because, 1, we're both people with anxiety, but 2, we already knew that we were going to have to, I'll talk to that guy later. Oh my god. But basically we knew that the drive was going to be long anyway. So we both already knew where it's like, all right, we got to be there by like 5 a.m. That means realistically we got to be up at like 2 something to drive.
Yeah.
And I did not sleep in the car. Like, we both didn't. And what doesn't help even now is that I was wearing my PJs. I was not wearing this top. I was wearing a different top, but I was wearing the same pants that I'm wearing, ironically. And I was carrying a stuffed animal. Only because, 1, this is my first time getting surgery. It was the first time I was ever in a hospital to do some kind of procedure like this.
Yeah.
And also, it's a very traumatic procedure, regardless, on the body, and it can be mentally. And I just remember, like, the person who's checking us in, she was like, I thought she was like 12 or something. I'm also short, okay? I'm like 5'2.5", so I'm not that short, but tall enough where everyone's like, heh, shorty. And I'm like, I've met people much shorter than me in my life. It is actually very funny.
I'm 5'9", and everybody thinks I'm short. But also, I have a baby face. I have a fucking baby face.
We both.
I just started getting out of my baby face.
That's not bad. I haven't ever gotten out of my baby face. It's like once I turned 12, everyone thought I was 10 years old, and still does. So, who cares? Like, one of the things I do make fun of, though, is I tell people, I'm like, I'm not in high school, but I look like I'm in high school.
I also look like I'd be in high school.
Yeah.
Actually, people have said that they thought, one of my coworkers said they thought I was like 20, and I was like,
oh, when I worked in healthcare, I had to wear a mask the whole time, even when everyone else was starting to take down their mask mandates. So I had patients and other coworkers of mine who assumed I was in my late 20s, early 30s, based on how I present myself and how I speak and everything. And I think you can tell that I'm much older as I'm speaking to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's very well known. But yeah, the person who checks us in, she thought I was 12. Very funny. We go up to the room, and mind you, we had to go up an elevator. I had to get dressed up in my gown. And originally we were told by someone that we were scheduled to have my surgery at 12, which is why we also had to be there a few hours early, and I had to fast. Turns out my surgery was bumped up to 7 a.m. So we got there just 2 hours before I had to get surgery.
Oh, damn.
I meet the anesthesiologist. He meets me with my mom. He asks me basic questions. He asked me one I didn't feel comfortable with, which is the whole, oh yeah, well, your urine test shows you're not pregnant. And the thing I respond with is, I'm like, well, that's good. Because, one, I think just from tweeting this out, and also, if you haven't noticed in my profile photo, and with the colors down there, like in this little banner here, like right by Ghosty Boy himself, that I am on the ACE spectrum. Like I
don't have my ACE flag up. I do have I have my bi flag up right there, and then my demi boy flag up right there.
I gotcha, yeah. But that I'm ACE, and also for me at the time, don't get me wrong, this person has re-entered my life, and I didn't bring this up on a few streams for a few reasons, mainly because at the time I was still kind of trying to get over the traumatic stuff that happened both post breakup and when me and that person were together. And especially because one of the things about it is what he did to me technically is still considered a crime to this day. And when re-entering my life, and don't get me wrong, we're both adults, we're both the same age, we've talked about it, and we are on good terms. We talk to each other, we hang out with each other a bit, and a lot of people in my life right now are like, oh my god, but that's like the worst decision you can make. But here's the thing I've told people, I'm like, please trust me in my own decisions. I am an adult. I can make my own choices. This person also understands what they did is wrong. This person can also make their own choices. Like, we both understand at the end of the day that what happened is forever going to be a scar on me. We both understand that. And we both know and fear, willingly enough, that from both ends, it's like, I was afraid, like, one of the things we talked about recently was how he's like, I'm still afraid that you can report me to the police, right? And I'm like, yeah, I that's valid. Like, and I'm scared that you could hurt me in the same way again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this variation between like both like understanding that trauma is forever going to be something I have to work on in therapy, as well as understanding that we're both adults enough to understand that what happened was still wrong and it doesn't make it right. And that my choice to talk to this person is one that is a very trekked on road. But it's also understanding that we're both two different people. We both have talked about it enough to sense that what happened was still wrong and that we can forgive each other in certain ways. It's just, this is one that is very serious and very hard. Yeah. Especially because you never truly get over that kind of trauma. Yeah. But yeah, that's where I'm going to close that small door real quickly. But basically back to the point, Like, for me, it had been, like, basically a very long time since I did the jig, as I like to call it. So it's not even like that would have been possible. My mom, although hearing that, she was, like, shocked that I would say something like that. And in my head, I'm like, what? What do you expect me to say? It's not like I'm gonna be vulgar and be pulling out other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, meet up with the anesthesiologist. I'm nervous. Because, like I said, this is my first time going under, first time having any major surgery. It's insane. And going under was fine. You know, it was getting in the room and everything else that made me super anxious. And, you know, he gave me the anesthesia, asked me to remember the stuff on my wristband, you know, like my name, my birthday, how old I was. And then I went under. Everyone says it's the best sleep of your life. I agree. It is. It's like the best feeling. Like, you go to sleep, you're nothing bad. You're just out. Like, that's the best way to put it. I don't remember what I dreamed about, so for me, it was like waking up in the black. But here's where it gets scary. It gets scary right when I am waking up from the anesthetic. Because all of a sudden, my dream stops. And here's the thing. To put into some context, when I dream and I notice I'm starting to wake up, or I am consciously waking up, what happens is all the dream just stops and it goes automatically to black. And that's all I see. So for me, that's everything's black, and subconsciously I'm awake. Consciously, I am not awake, so you can't tell that I'm awake, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the first thing I hear is, Emily, wake up, like a whisper sound. And then it's like I flash. It felt like a TV show. Like I flashed back into reality. Kind of just all of a sudden now everything's coming back. Just pow. I am like, you know how people in TV shows, how they talk about that moment where it's like someone's talking, then all of a sudden it's like this flash and it's very dramatic, and it's real. That was real. That was my reality right there. It was that feeling like that person in that TV show who's waking up and everyone in the room is like, yeah. And for me, on my end, what I didn't know was, didn't know. They told me even beforehand they had to shave a little bit of up here because it was also jutting out, and none of us realized it until I did my x-rays before surgery kind of stuff. So from them shaving up here, it meant my sinuses were backed up as well. So my nose was basically filled with blood, and I could not breathe when I woke up. And being somebody with a heightened amount of anxiety, that's not a fun feeling to wake up to at all. It never is. And for me, I was trying to sit up. And so I was trying to sit up. I was trying to open my eyes. My eyes are rolling back, and I'm falling down again, just doing the same thing. And I'm not joking. I'm panicking. I'm starting to panic. That's another thing. I'm starting to panic as I'm getting up, because also having as bad of anxiety as I do, sometimes I wake up paranoid.
Ooh, yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it's a very terrible feeling. Oh, happy 1 hour, everyone. All right.
1 hour.
Woo! But basically, point being, I wake up, I'm panicking, and the nurses can tell I'm panicking. So the nurse says to sit up, so I sit up, and for the first time, I'm not falling backwards. And they put an oxygen mask on me. And I had to lay back down. And I have ice packs on my face as well. So it's like I have ice packs because my face is like blown up looking. Yeah. I have an oxygen mask on because now I'm trying to breathe, and I can't breathe. And mind you, I had not eaten for over 12 hours. I actually was told I fasted a little too much.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because, yeah. And just that in itself was a very terrifying experience, just waking up from the anesthetic. The rest of the fun hospital story, I feel like would have to be a whole other day, because that would probably take up a whole stream, and I would never give you room to speak about it. But yeah, that's what it was like waking up for the anesthetic for jaw surgery. And then I went through really bad, like, not really bad, but like I went through an extreme weight fluctuation. Because before surgery, I was like 152. And mind you, I'm also built to be very small too, so I technically, like, being 152 is not bad, but I could be a little lighter technically in medical sense.
You don't have to. Like, there's no obligation to be.
There's no obligations, but for your health-wise, it's better to be, just so you don't have more complications. And based on how I'm built to be very petite, but my body type is not petite. It is mid-size. So I can fit into normal clothing despite being a very small-statured person. And then from there, I lost 15 pounds, which they told me I was post-op. So it was like I went from 152 to 138. And then within a year's time, I gained about 50 to 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And mind you, when you gain that much weight, it wasn't even rapid. It was very like within time, and then it felt rapid.
Yeah.
When you gain that much weight, and it's unexpected, and your body's not used to gaining that much weight, you get obviously stretch marks and stuff like that. And for me, there are photos from that time when I noticed I was that heavy. And one of the things I tell people, I was like, it's not that I felt good, because I didn't feel good being like that. I felt heavy, and I felt overweight. And that's something no one tells you when you gain weight like that. It's, you're gonna feel overweight. You're gonna feel like you're heavy. And it's because, for the first time, you're at a weird extreme that you've never been to. So it's new to you, and you're like, what the hell? I've never been this heavy. I've never been this... It's just new altogether, and it's insane. And then now I'm slowly trying to just lose the weight there. And also from my recent medical thing with my doctor, they were telling me part of the reason I could be getting more easily sick is also because of, one, being as heavy as I am, and the need to change my diet and needing to exercise more, which I was expecting, to be quite honest. Yeah. But also they found something that they need to test again for. So now I have to go back in, and I technically should have gone back in today, but that was because I was also recovering from a UTI, which is a whole other story. But besides that, it's also because they found something in my urine before I got the UTI that technically told them that they needed to check again. So I would have had to go back, essentially. But yeah, you had a story you were going to tell me, and I feel like I've been talking so long. My God.
It's all good. I'm the kind of person that, like...
listens?
Yeah. It's partially because I was taught to, like, not talk as much.
I get that, yeah.
Like, I feel like I don't feel like I'm good at talking. Which is weird because I'm a streamer, and like that's mostly what streamers do.
Exactly, yeah, I get you. I feel like I talk way too much, and what sucks about it is that's been my biggest insecurity, even as a child. Like, I've been told I talk too much, that I'm annoying, and that I'm rude. So it's like, I get where you're coming from. It's a very different experience, but I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was super talkative, and that's partially why I don't talk as much now. But yeah, story. So back in, like, I think it was 2019.
Okay.
It was October of 2019. I worked at a pizza place. And this was like early October, so it was still like nice and like warm, kind of.
Okay, I get you, yeah.
And I had to go to work, and my mom was like, "You have to bring your winter jacket with you because it's cold and you have to wear it." And I'm like, "Mom, it's like 70 degrees. I don't need a winter jacket." And she's like, "You're bringing it anyways." I'm like, "Fine." Yeah. So I did. And I worked, and I was working for a little bit, and then as I was biking home, I was like, I'm not wearing this jacket. I'm already way too hot from working. So I draped it over my bike handlebars, and I started biking home. And either the sleeve or the bottom of the jacket got caught in the wheel. And I flipped over my handlebars and skidded across the asphalt. And I got abrasions all up in here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my entire cheek was just bloody. I have a line right here that looks blue, and people think it's pen, but it's not. It's just a scar with asphalt still stuck in it. And then I also have a chunk taken out of my chin. I also have a bit right here. You can't see it. It's like a disc scar. And then I also have like stuff on my knees. But I flipped over the top of my handlebars. I skidded. I just laid there for a second. I was like, what just happened? And then I got up. I picked up my bike and my jacket, and I went to go sit on the grass. And this wasn't on like the concrete sidewalk. This is on the asphalt where like the sidewalk ends, and it like where like the main street goes off into like a residential street. Like
okay.
Like that bit.
I can kind of understand what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't like in danger of being hit or anything. But yeah, I just got up, I picked up my bike, I went to go sit on the grass, and then people started coming over to me, like, being like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Do you need me to call like 911 or your parents?" And I'm like, "I can call my dad. It's fine." And so I called my dad, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can you pick me up? I got into a bike accident." And he was like, "What the fuck?" And so he picked me up, and he took me to the ER. Or, you know, I don't think it was. It may have been the ER, but also it was like weirdly not busy.
Yeah.
And so we like went in there. I got scanned because also my arm was hurting. I think it was my elbow that was hurting, or my elbow or my shoulder. And so I got an x-ray. Everything was fine. I was just bruised and my entire face was like puffy and bloody and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to school the next day and everybody was like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Please don't look at me. I am not the kind of person to like have attention on me." Which is
yeah,
funny
I guess it.
because
Yeah, streaming.
I was in theater, and now I'm streaming.
Yeah.
But like this isn't sophomore year. I was still like the shy, quiet kid.
Oh
And
yeah, I get you. Yeah, that's a mood.
So I was like, "Don't pay attention to me. Just leave me alone."
My God, that sounds terrifying.
Nah, it was fine. I was a little bit bloody. I don't think I actually got any blood on my clothes though, which is nice.
Lovely perk. Totally just got hurt. Derailed by my bike. I'm fine, but my clothes are good.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great.
That's just, oh my God. That's a hell of a story. God.
That was like the only time I've like seriously been hurt, I think. Well, one of the times I've been seriously hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've been seriously hurt in the sense of being like, I don't know how to put it, because it's not the sense of being like injured to a degree where I had to be medically attended like that. Have I been in situations where I definitely have avoided danger? 100%. I don't know what it is, but I am very lucky with that kind of stuff. Like, I don't get injured like that. And I think the few times I did, I was like little and I like scuffed my knee.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have met a ton of people who've dealt with it. And actually, one of the bigger things that happened, like, end of last year, was my brother. And mind you, he's the brother right after me. He's also one of my moderators. He's pretty cool. I don't even know if he's really modding. He can say hello if he is. Whatever. But I'm not going to tell his story, but to put it into some very shortened context, my brother got hit by a car. Here's what happened. Like your face says it all, and I'm like, let me put it into some short, condensed version. But basically, my brother was biking to the park because, you know, my brother, he got like this really big, massive mountain bike. So it's not like you can't tell he's on a bike.
Yeah.
You can tell. You can tell he's on a bike. And for us, like me and my siblings, we didn't learn to ride a bike until much later in our lives. Like I was like 14 and I learned how to ride a bike. Okay. Which tells people a lot. But my brother bought a really huge mountain bike for himself. It was the first time he was using it. He decided to go biking towards my grandmom's house and stuff. And he had a good time on the way there. Mm-hmm. It was when he was on the way back, there was some guy who hit him as he was on his bike. Mm-hmm. So my brother's bike surprisingly looks like there's no damage. Like, it looks like there's no damage even in the house, because we still have it here. It was damaged a little bit. Like, I couldn't tell for all I know. My brother, though, got very lucky in the sense that there was a guy who was already driving his daughter to the hospital. And he decided he's like, well, I'm driving my daughter there. Why don't I take you with me as well?
Oh,
so he was, yes. So my brother got a ride to the hospital by this guy. But because of how old my brother's 18. Well, not 18. He's 19 now. His birthday just passed. It was Easter, actually, this year.
Nice.
Yeah. And for him, he was sent to the hospital, and both my parents were called at their jobs. You know, my brother provided the number and everything for the doctors, and they said, hey, your son's in the hospital. He was hit by a car. Now, for both my parents, they were surprised. Very surprised at the fact that my brother got hit at all. But it was terrifying. My mom had to leave work early. My father had to come home and basically, come see my brother in that sense. And the rest of us, we were all doing other things. And for me, when I found out this news, I was at work.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was in the middle of a shift, and nobody told me until I got picked up. Like, my dad did not think to tell me until later that day. He was, oh yeah, so nothing too much happened. Just your brother got hit by a car. And I was like, what? Like, I was, yeah, but there are some funny stories with my dad, so. And my dad, unfortunately, is that kind of person who's not the greatest with emotional stuff like that in situations that tend to be very serious and stuff, which makes it very hard to talk to your parent like that. And it's just like, okay. But, it also makes it easier if you're, like, having an emotional freak out and you have that one person who's calm. It just makes that a little easier. But basically, point being, my dad tells me that as he's picking me up from work, and I'm like, oh my god, is he okay? Did he have to stay overnight? No. My brother was not seriously injured like that. And I'm very grateful for that, yeah. But my brother was traumatized from it. Like, I definitely can tell. Like, my brother did not want to do anything on that bike for a while. He didn't even want to repair it that much for a little bit. But yeah, that's probably the only time I've ever really experienced anything or had been near anybody who had dealt with something very much like, in need of some critical care. But yeah, no, I haven't. I surprisingly enough have done jobs where I have to know the proper care. Like, I worked as a lifeguard when I was 16, so I had to be certified for first aid and CPR. When I did healthcare, I had to re-get that certification once again. It's still good until July, actually, so that's a plus. Yeah. So I'm still certified to save your life, and I know what to do. But yeah, no, I've never really dealt with anything like that either. Like those kind of stories always make me feel weird. Like, I've had other weird injuries. Like, don't get me wrong, I've had injuries that have happened, and the nurses freaked out. And I have a scar under, I'm pretty sure it's this eyelid, and you could see it as I do that to, like, my eye and stuff. But God, it's such a stupid story when I think about it, because it's just middle school bantering, and I was much older. I was like 14, and this was a girl I was friends with. Her name was actually Sarah, I think. I could be wrong. Who knows? But basically, I was staying after school for band practice, like any other girl does. The guy I liked, plus someone we were like, us two were, like, friends with, our mutual friend, and my brother were staying after for, like, just do homework stuff.
Yeah.
So, love that. And the guy that I like, mind you, I'm just going to change his name to Victor for now, okay?
That's a good, like, fake name.
It is, yeah. So, my brother, Victor, and the guy that we're all talking to, I'm going to call him Adrian. They're all after school for homework help. I'm here for band practice, because for my brother, his band practice days were the days after mine. So it was very different. So it'd be like, I had my band practice days with 7th graders as well as 8th graders, and then the 6th grade had their own. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool. And pretty much what happened was I had this handmade Christmas card that Victor made me.
Aww.
Exactly. Now here's the thing. I made him a Christmas card and gave it to him a little before Christmas as well. Mm-hmm. So he had one from me and I had one from him now. And I thought my feelings were not as obvious. They're very obvious. Because I was smiling and gushing and I was loving this thing. I don't have it anymore because I did something to it when I was 15. Like I said, I don't remember most of. That's another thing. Like, I mentally actually lost my mind when I was like 15, so I have no recollection of anything I did during that time. There are very few memories I actually have from then. But back into the point. I'm 14, I'm in middle school, and I'm like, still gushing over this card. And my friend Sarah's like, hey, let's go to the bathroom together before, band, practice officially starts. And, I'm pretty sure we're both percussionists. No, I was a percussionist. She was some other section of the band. I don't remember what it was.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. And from what I remember, yeah, she was like we go in the bathroom, after I put the card away and stuff, and she's like, so who's it from? And I'm just like, not willing to tell her.
I don't get why people like try to force you to tell them who you like.
Well,
I never got that.
It wasn't her asking who I liked. It was just more like, the way I've always interpreted it was like, she was just genuinely curious. Like, I don't think she cared if it was somebody I liked. I mean, even if she did question that, it was not like super serious, like, oh my god, who do you like? And her pressuring me.
Mm-hmm.
No. So Sarah, she's there with me in the bathroom, and she's like, oh my god, so who's it from? Like, just all, and I'm like, in my head, kind of like, I've known this person a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I don't think they know who this person is, for first sake. I don't think they know who Victor is.
Oh no.
And two, I don't know if I'm ready to tell anybody that I like Victor, especially because at the time, for me, this is the first time I actually, like, the way I describe the way I felt for Victor is, like, I fell in love with him kind of feeling. And I can never reciprocate that about, like, my ex. Like, I can never truly say that about my ex-boyfriend, which is very sad and a very different thing in itself. But with Victor, it was more like, what made it weird when I liked him was I was in this stage of, I don't know if I like him, but I also don't know if it's platonic. And for me, I never had that happen before.
Okay.
So this is a very different, like, I was feeling very different than I normally would about this person. So it's kind of like whenever somebody goes, it's mixed feelings, that was my excuse back then. Because at the time, it was like that. Like, I didn't know how to feel about it. I just knew I was very excited and very happy. But I also was in a place where I was like, but I don't know, though. Because he also liked, from what people were telling me, he liked another girl who, her name, and this was a real name, I don't mind. Her name was Juliet. So, very different. Okay?
Yeah.
So, basically, as I thought that, I was like, nobody. It's from nobody. And mind you, I was wearing my glasses, so, like, my glasses were rectangular. And I will say the injury could have been worse if I wasn't wearing them. And, so we're in the bathroom, and I have a dumbass, let me just say this now. I have walked into things more than once. I've done that. So we're walking around, and she's still kind of, like, literally her arms are kind of, like, flapping, like, kind of thing. It's, like, the real thing that I never thought existed until that moment.
Oh my god.
I know. And if any of you who don't live in America, one of the things we have is, like, the handicap stalls. The doors don't open inwards. They open outwards. Especially in the girls' bathroom.
Yeah, so that people don't get stuck.
Exactly. And there's one at the, like, for the way my school was set up, we had one handicap stall at the front and one handicap stall at the end as well. So it's like you got one here, one there. Me and Sarah were close to the one towards the door. And I'm not even joking. We're talking, I'm walking around, and then my dumbass turns and I walk straight into the handicap door and I literally go bunk like that.
Oh man.
And what I didn't know was my glasses cut me right here. They cut me.
Damn.
And I did not feel blood. I just felt dazed because one, I just walked into a door that's like full blown, like whatever mix of metal, plastic, whatever.
Yeah.
And two, Sarah felt bad. Because at that point, she felt bad that I walked into the handicap stall door. Okay? And when I tried explaining this to Victor the next day, he was, not even the next day, but the day after, because I stayed home for safety precaution. But like, when I tried to explain this to Victor, which mind you, funny context, Victor, this guy that I'm going to call, I'm just going to call this guy, like, Pygmalion, because why not? And then, mind you, Pygmalion was very weird. He was, and then, of course, my ex-boyfriend, who, this is before we were dating, okay? This is, like, around the time we met. And, like, we're all sitting at the table, and he goes, yeah, but how'd you do that? Like, Victor's just, like, questioning how that worked. And I was like, because of the handicap stalls and how they're set up. And I was trying to explain it, and I was a very poor explainer. back then, so it was just very hard. And they were all confused. They were all like, "How the?" And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to explain it to you further. Sarah felt very bad though, and unfortunately, I went home instead of doing band practice. And the school decided to string my brother along home too. So, but I was also kind of mad because I was like, great, I couldn't have seen Victor on the after school bus. Like, it's whatever. Like, I hope Victor is happy where he is, in life and everything. But yeah, that's like a very stupid, your girl just injured herself, like, all different ways.
Last week I was making tea, and like, I've been like, if I don't have the energy to take out the electric tea kettle and like put water on it for it to boil, I'll just heat up the water in my mug and then like in the microwave, because I'm like, people will probably get mad at me for that. I don't care. I have not a lot of motivation to do stuff. I struggle with daily tasks. But I was making tea. And I was like steeping. I was steeping the tea. I went to go throw the tea bag away, and I forgot that I left the microwave door open. So I went back over to the stove where the microwave and the stove is, because I was gonna put my tea down, and I walk straight into the side of the microwave door. And it's fine now, but like it hurt for like 3 days. It was very
funny. That's I mean,
it was fine.
I mean, I've also had literally like a giant glass plate hit me in the head and not break, mind you, from the force. But it hit me right at the soft spot of your skull, like right at the top there.
Crown, yeah.
And that hurt like a bitch. I was crying. I had a headache. It was bad. That was just bad. I feel bad. We're like talking about all these injuries. Now, I'll be right back. I have to get myself a tissue so I'm not as nasally, because I've been like avoiding it for a while. So, you want to keep them entertained?
I can try my best.
All right. I'll be right back.
All right. Hello, chat. I'm gonna open up. How do I do this? I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna go to gameplay, because that might be helpful. But yeah, hi guys, how's everybody doing today? Sorry that I haven't been interacting as much. My fingers hurt.
What happened?
My fingers get sore very easily.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the chronic pain. But yeah, also I have blisters because I've been doing yard work.
See, I don't dabble with being outside. And I'm not saying that I can't. It's just where I work, weirdly enough, I'm constantly either in the store or I'm put outside in the garden area. And then everyone asks me, oh, do you know stuff about plants? And I'm like, I fucking do not, but try me.
I love that.
Oh, yeah, no. And also, like, I tried gardening once. I don't know why, but I'm one of those people who has really bad luck with it. And I kill my plants by accident.
I also kill my plants by accident because I forget to water them.
Oh, I didn't. Oh my god. Oh no. This reminds me of a story of like my sister and how this was while I was recovering from surgery, mind you. So I couldn't actually do anything. I was stuck on my couch, literally having to sit up. My jaw was wired shut. That's another thing. And you just like completely went, yeet, I'm out. I'm out.
I can imagine. It's weird. I can't imagine how that feels, but also I can like
visualize what that looks like. Yeah. Plus my face is swollen for like an entire year, and that had to go down very slowly. But yeah. I mean, it did give me a fun party trick. So I can actually like talk and move my mouth, but never move my jaw very much, especially because this is what happens when you have jaw surgery. You just don't. You're stuck talking like this for a very long time, and it looks really, really fun.
I love that. That's awesome.
It feels like ventriloquism, but it's not. But it also gets frustrating. It gets very frustrating when you have to relearn how to do all that and align your lips to your jaw movement, because then it's like,
yeah.
But yeah, back to the point. Basically, my sister, while I was recovering, just gave up on not just her plants, but my plants. So my plants died.
Oh.
Because my sister, I asked her to take care of it. She was like, I just gave up. And I'm like, I'm just trying to keep it censored, but like, I was pissed. Like, that was just one of those where it's like, I am literally doing bed rest and taking like, I think I was taking like 5 or 6 different medications. I don't fucking remember. But like, oh, I hated it. That's another thing. Like the fun thing I tell people too is when I was recovering from jaw surgery, I literally was in the most pain just within the first week.
Mm-hmm.
It was like literally day after the week just ended. It was like little to no pain at all, except for the pressure in my ears.
Oh man.
And smelling was very difficult to get back because blood was up there for a while. And 2, everything smelled gross because it was like I had snot mixed with blood. So it was a very sour smell of iron and whatever else was up there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a fun time.
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, no. I will say, though, I am very shocked at how well this is going. I like that we're having an easy time talking about this kind of stuff. Oh my god. And it's great. I love it. I was gonna ask, are you into Sandersides?
I'm not as into it as I used to be, but yes.
Yeah, I get it. I have kind of considered them my special interest. Like, I'm still as into it as I was when I was first entering the fandom, which ironically I entered like around the time I went insane. So like around 2016, 2017, but I discovered it in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have probably diary entries about how I entered the fandom, especially like I said, because I can't remember most of that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it to a degree where I still have. Okay, so I ended up joining as a patron a while back. I'm not a patron anymore because financial reasons are broke as hell. And I have like the calendar. I have the like 3 posters, although 2 of them are the same thing. So
yeah.
I got a sticker from it. Like I have the U2's plushies.
Nice.
Like yeah, and one of the things I was mentioning, and I think I'm gonna bring this up like now, especially, and I think every Sandersides person is gonna enter chat, is if you ever look closely at it, you see how there's like 7 colors just about?
Yeah, because there are more Sandersides.
Exactly.
Than the originals. Yeah.
Yeah. But my thing is, when it came to the orange, I was like, wait a second. Now, I'm only posing this because it's kind of a theory in my head. But, and this has been a theory in my head for like a very long time, since the beginning of it, even before they introduced this like new orange side, as well as like having, what's his frickin' name? Remus? Yes. And all them, like, oh my gosh. This is just a theory, guys, and anybody who is probably going to see this clip, because I have a good feeling either you or I is going to clip this stream a little and then put it on TikTok. But the theory I have is that each dark side coincides with the light side.
Exactly.
But it's a specific light side to each one of the dark sides. Like,
yeah,
for example,
because Janice, it's either Janice and Patton or Janice and Logan, right?
I was gonna say, in recently, like, hold on.
But also, like, Roman and Remus, they're both
yeah, Ream-Rom, it's very obvious that they're the light and dark to each other.
Yeah, because they're both creativity.
But the reason I don't fully agree with Deceit, because I thought it was originally, like, Virgil and Logan, because Virgil originally is a dark side.
That's
not
true.
A light side.
But that would mean there are only 3 light sides.
Yes, but that's why I'm also like, wait a second, then what's this orange one going to represent?
Yeah.
And in the recent Sandericides,
I haven't
you
watched any of them recently.
okay, so this is recent, more like within the past 2 years, so you can always go back and look because there's only 3 videos of it. But if you look, Logan's eyes turn orange, telling me that the two sides I thought before do not coincide with that. So that
I think I've read on this. Like I think I've read some theories that the orange side is going to coincide with Logan.
yes, and that because it gives you a really huge Easter egg in that Sandericides that probably is the right route, which makes me go, then either Deceit is alongside Patton or it's Virgil with Patton. But then that makes Deceit a Deceit or Virgil singled out, meaning there must be another light side somewhere.
That's true. That's true.
So,
hey, thank you for the follow, Celeste. How you doing today?
Woo! This is oh shoot. I'm not even joking. Like I was answering a text and I left I left looking the managing of the stream. Like it's insane. I'll live. Just hold on a second, guys. This is actually how I unlock my phone because I have face recognition.
Nice.
It's kind of meh. It's meh. It's like it's mid.
I usually just use my thumbs.
See, I had a phone that did that, but like I just got frustrated. I used like my pointer finger half the time.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so it was like one of those where I had the fingerprint sensor, and then you could just like.
I had my last phone had it on the back, so I'd use my middle finger or my pointer finger.
Yeah, that's where mine was last time too. It was like on the back, and I used my pointer finger because like that's where it was. So it was like a very easy access point where I could just go doop. And also I didn't want to be like thumb on the back of it.
Yeah, that would be uncomfortable.
It would be, yes, both in actual logistics wise and all that other fun jazz. And oh my gosh, but yeah, no, Sandericides is one of those where I've gotten so deep in it. But also, like, any other platform I've been on for Sandericides has been, like, big, and then anything after that, it's been, like... And I'm like, why? And something I stated on Tumblr, because you saw my Discord name.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Discord name is not the same as anything on my other social medias, and one of the things I announced earlier in a different stream is that I am currently in the making of my Discord stream for, other fans, so that if you guys wanted to join the Discord, you could, but I'm still in the process of making it. I'm gonna need help making it. It's a process.
I am still working on like perfecting, like not perfecting, but like I'm still working on making my Discord server, even though I've had it since like July.
Yeah, I like how your Discord server is actually set up, and that's something like I very much was like, damn, he exceeds me in this. Like I just look like a noob next to him.
I don't give me that much credit. I'm not that good. I'm just good at faking stuff.
You know what? Hey, don't push yourself down that much, because honestly, it looks great, even for somebody who's faking it. It looks amazing. Like, I am happy about it. And I'm grateful to even have this collab right now. Like, this is amazing. Like, and as I was saying earlier, I feel like a lot of the time when you're on Twitch and you're a smaller streamer, it is very hard to find other streamers who will willingly collab with you.
Oh, yeah.
In any sort of sense. Like, it's like finding you is like a very big miracle on my end. And I was like, damn, he has a bigger following than I do. He has more, like, basically you have more of an engaging audience who's very willing to watch you very quickly and a more consistent schedule, because you work what you work, I work what I work.
Yeah.
And it just works out in that way. And I'm very grateful for it. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the amount of people who can stop by, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's kind of one of those things where I just am doing what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to continue with content. And it's not that I don't want to leave with broken promises, because that's another thing. I'm scared I'm going to break the promise I make on here, as much as making promises to like people when it comes to an audience. As don't get me wrong, my following on here is smaller, but I do have people who follow me both on my Instagram, on my on my TikTok, which is my biggest one, as well as like I'm slowly growing that following on Twitter as well. And I have a smaller, very present audience though on YouTube. So it's kind of very hard when you're trying to do all these projects at once, or like trying to create so many things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with projects that you say you're gonna do. Like, I had to change my follow goal because, like, my first follower goal, which was like 100, I think, I was gonna be playing Security Breach, but Security Breach decided to like not work, and so I was like,
yeah,
I have to like fix that. And so now the follower goal that was a live room tour, and I still haven't done that because my room is dirty and I don't want to like show people
yeah
room.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, one of the things I'm still trying to keep up with is being able to do 3 streams, because I brought this up to you earlier, but like I'm one of 8 children.
Yeah,
I am still living with 6 of them, and most of my siblings, besides the brother right after me, are minors and are children. So it's one of those where I also play a big caretaker role in my own household. So I can never avoid moments where I have to then be like, sorry guys, something came up. I can't stream today. And I hate when I have to do that, because then it's like a change in my plans, or I have to stream a lot later, which is why I said my latest would be like at 4. And based on all that, I'm just like, okay. And don't get me wrong, I'm hoping that Saturday, because I also have a collab with someone I know more personally, like one of my friends who agreed to do this kind of thing, you know, for a different kind of stream.
Nice.
And, you know, it's just trying to get all that stuff together. And one of the things I brought up in another stream was how I am currently in the making of a web series / like ARG thing, which is what it's going to be, you know.
Tell me more.
Okay.
I love web series. I love ARGs. I'm a big writer. I'm a big artist. I am also a musician. I'm also a cosplayer. Like, there's so many.
There's so many things. Yeah, I like that.
My guitar. This is Orpheus. This is my guitar. He is
my
baby.
Love that. Oh my god.
Thank you. I also don't have an actual guitar capo, so I just use this. This is actually for my old lamp.
I got you. That's a thing. I get it. Like, I mean, I'm very musically inclined as well.
I love music.
This is gonna be great. But like, hopefully in the future we can do more streams. I was gonna say that, but like, also one of like, basically to put down, because I'm also a huge writer and I'm writing that. But basically, I'm not gonna tell you the name. The secret's gonna be kept offline for you guys, but I might tell you off stream. So, you know, I am both in the middle of creating the website, so getting all that stuff started. I have the basics down. I already have the pages set up. It's just getting to the more technical things, like getting buttons to connect to different parts of the website to then do all that. So that part's I'm doing on my own. But I'm also in the middle of creating the story for what it is, because technically, if I have to put it simply, the character you can focus on, and this is going to be the biggest hint for you guys, is the guy's name is Mark Ableton. But the person who technically wrote the website is under a username called Anonymous Pizza. Okay. And that's all you got to really know for the people watching. But simply, it has to do with his line of work, which he is a backtracker. And for many of you who don't know what backtracking is when you instead of going forward to get to different tabs, you're going backwards and you're looking into like older data and stuff like that. Like, people do it all the time. It's an actual profession. It's usually used in the professionalized world of criminology.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, most of the time it's used when there's police work and you're trying to figure out something. Like backtracking is like finding things like your old texts or videos or audio files, things like that, or things that are records that you can basically collect.
Yeah.
And so far, I am creating the story for one of those people. And I just need not only the technical assistance, but I need both people who are willing to act, like in that sense, like voice acting wise for audio bits, as well as for actual like video bits for that ARG.
I have a person for you.
Ooh, okay.
Because I know agree to it.
Okay. Yeah, because I know my brother, he works with like audio and all that stuff, so I know I can get him to help with that. but it's then finding people who will agree to do the audio bits for each file.
I want to get into voice acting. I want to get into voice acting because I can do voices, and like I don't know. But also I'm good. Like I'm an actor. Like last year I was in 2 shows. I had 2 lead roles in
nice
in my shows last year. Yeah, it was great. Those shows were absolutely great. The last one, it took 6 months to produce that one.
Wow.
Which is like, if you're not into like the theater like world,
no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Like that's way too long for production to be like worked on. Like
you keep talking. I'll tell you a little bit of my opinion after.
I mean, for us at least, because like usually, like the first show that we did in the fall, that took like 3 months to produce.
That I can expect. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I will say though, I don't think that's too long of a period because I did theater for a bit. I actually didn't do theater the last few years of my high school experience, as my last show was our fall winter show, and we did a Christmas Carol. Like I said, I don't remember most of it. All I know is that I played a guy named Valentine.
Nice.
And the want. So, but in the summertime, this was also while I was still out of my mind, so I don't fully remember it, but I do have pictures and I do have entries talking about it. So at least I know I did something. And we did The Wizard of Oz.
Ooh,
but we had to get all that done within a month.
Oh, that's way too short.
Yes, that is when I tell people, I'm like, you want to talk about doing a show in a very short amount of time? Wizard of Oz.
1 month
perfect example. 1 month is insane because that means you got to block everything correctly. You got to make sure everyone's on time. You got to make sure everything's all done. All that versus a 6-month period.
It just got boring after 6 months. Like
sounds about right.
We had a lot of complications with like the school and stuff, and also with like casting because this one person was like
just on everybody's nerves, just not being a willing person.
He didn't do anything. He was also very problematic.
But
yeah,
that's not good.
No, he didn't do anything. He only, out of like over 100 rehearsals, he only came to like 7 of them.
What? That's even more fucked.
He was one of the main characters. So, and we were like telling our theater director, like, hey, we need to get rid of this dude. He's not doing anything. And our theater director was like, no, he's fine. Just give him another chance. And then finally, a week before the show, my theater director let that kid go. And then we found the person that had like the lead role in the fall show. We had him step in. And he learned his lines in a fucking week. He learned the lines and the blocking in a week. And he is amazing.
Honestly, I give credit to people who can do that. Like, honestly, that takes a lot of persistence.
Yes.
And, oh my god. Because I was going to say that 6-month period, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure people on Broadway, they practice for, like, about that amount of time when they get first introduced to a show, especially because sometimes they have to switch out different actors.
Oh, yeah.
Especially based on if they're long-term or short-term.
Or if they're going to be recording or not. Like,
exactly. That too. So then it's kind of like this mix of, okay, we have to know the show within this amount of months. But also when you think about how long certain shows go on Broadway, sometimes they're going on for as long as 6 months, even 9 months or more.
Yeah.
Which is why I was like, doesn't seem like too long, but I wouldn't know from that experience itself. But also,
like, I'm talking high school.
Yeah, for high school. For a high school, yeah, I get that. That sounds ridiculous. And actually, I think there was a middle school that I knew that they took about 4 months, maybe 5, to produce their spring production. And I was like, and mind you, their spring production I think wasn't until like May.
Oh.
And for us for anybody who's part of the northern portion of the U.S., school goes on very similarly to the Canadian schedule. So, like, the Canadian scheduling, I only know this because there was a Canadian YouTuber who found it super weird how the southern portion of the U.S. does their schooling, because theirs is...
theirs is weird.
Theirs is weird. They do it from August to May.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
My schooling went from September to June.
June. Yeah, same here. That's why I was saying. But like it's one of those where I keep doing that. Oh my god. I keep responding to a text, and then it's like I'm closing it out to see how the stream's doing. But like basically I don't care, I'll put the password in. But like basically like when you think about it from being in the northern portion of the US or in Canada and having your school schedule be from September to June and hearing their spring productions in May, you're like, that's really close to when school's ending. Like who's gonna want to see a play at that time? And also like whenever I talk to people like about anything about my high schooling thing, I went to 2 different high schools.
I also went to 2 different high schools.
We have more similarities than we thought. Yeah.
Woo! I was also homeschooled for 1 year.
Oh really? I was never homeschooled. My parents considered it, but they didn't do it.
My mom tried to homeschool me and my brother. Did not go well.
Doesn't sound like it went well, no. But yeah, I know with God, when it came to what is it? Sorry. But when it came to just like what we did in my high school, I went to the one high school for 3 years, okay? I went to a technical school, to be quite honest, and I studied fashion design.
Ooh.
Now, when I explain why, people are like, but that's a stupid reason. I'm like, is it though? Because the reason I did fashion design when I entered that school was because, one, it didn't require me to have the highest of grades, which is really upsetting when you say something like that. But 2, I also didn't do very well, and I was doing I was doing summer school because I flunked math for the first time. So, yeah. I had a lot of... I'm a huge underdog story in itself. But basically, when I went to this high school, one of the other reasons I did fashion was because I started learning sewing.
Yeah.
And I was in a thing called 4-H. Not a lot of people know what it is. And for the state I live in, it's run by Rutgers. So it's like kind of an extension of that. Okay. But I did that to utilize those skills more and also learn more skills. So it was kind of more like, this is going to benefit me both in my 4-H club, and what made it a little easier was I was the president of the sewing club that year. So it was like, awesome, I'm president, and I get to increase my skills, and I get to choose the theme of what we make this year.
Nice.
So it was very much a process of, I'm doing this not just because it was easy to get into, I'm doing this also because I can work on my skills. And then, of course, I left that high school due to both my breakup being so bad and so public and just so, like, everybody was... Like, basically the best way to put it is I felt like I was a tabloid piece.
Ooh, yeah.
And it didn't help that the way my school looked at you in that way was, if it wasn't your popularity in person, parasocial ones, it was your presence on social media. And for my personalized account, I had, like, at the time when I was popping off at that point, it was like 800 something. So I was pretty much in the... People knew me, whether or not it meant they knew me in person.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was a nobody. And so everybody was like... And also when I started dating my ex-boyfriend, it was very much like everyone's like, oh my god, but who are you dating? What's his name? People did not know him. For shit. Not gonna lie. And it wasn't till, like, it was just so much at once. Like, teenage drama, all this other fucking crap that you don't want to deal with. And yes, I'm gonna use the F word because I don't curse very much.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I swear a little too much, apparently.
I mean, I swear a bit too much in streams too, but I like to keep my politeness when I can in all senses of honesty. But yeah, it was one of those where it was really bad. I lost my friends, especially because towards, like, post-breakup, I reported him to police for the first time. That was very, very scary, very traumatizing in itself, as well as just everything kind of being, like, amplified. So, like, at that point, you could understand why in my senior year, when I went to a completely different school, the best way I can put it is I was kind of very disconnected from people. Like, I was connected in a way where I was like, I have no roots here. I don't give a fuck fuck about anything. I don't give a fuck about making friends, about doing clubs. Like, I basically was like, I could do anything and I don't care. I just want that diploma in my fucking hand by graduation and be gone. That was it. That was my mentality. Pandemic, 2 weeks after my 18th birthday. Everyone goes on lockdown. Woo! It's like just turned 18 2 weeks later. By the way, schools everywhere lockdown.
Oh man, no, lockdown was so weird. Shit. Lockdown was shit.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I don't disagree. Oh yeah.
Oof. Like, my parents were the parents to, like, I didn't get a phone until I was 13. The first phone I got was a flip phone. The second phone I got, the second phone I got was an actual phone, but I had screen time on it, and I don't have, like, I haven't used any Apple products. It was like the off-brand screen time, whatever. And my parents had put screen time on all of my phones up until May of last year, like right before I moved out.
Wow.
They even put it on this phone that I bought with my own money, and I was also paying for the service myself.
That's just fucked in itself. That's very fucked.
Yeah, and also I didn't have any social media aside from, like, a secret YouTube channel and Pinterest. And
oh yeah, but like, that's the thing. Pinterest, if you're gonna have Pinterest, nobody cares. It's like at that point, you can follow people. You don't have to follow people. No, it's more for you to mind your business. It's more for you to just relax and surprise. Even though it is a social media, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a social media where you don't have to deal with people. You don't have to deal with people whatsoever. And like, it's hilarious in that way, and I love that. I'm like, great. And everyone, what's the most relaxing, like, social media? Pinterest. Why? Because you don't gotta deal with anybody. Nobody can tell you shit.
There's cool stuff, and I get to save it to my boards and be nerdy.
Oh, hell yeah, definitely. There's, like, so many things. You can save stuff about your fandom, your favorite TV shows, aesthetics. Oh my god. It's mind-blowing. And then you get other social media platforms that are not like that at all. Like, I think that's what makes everybody so, like, controversial about TikTok. Because even though TikTok is very popular, it is one of the few social medias that I both love and hate at the same time.
Oh yeah, I love it because, like, I've met so many cool people on TikTok, but also the algorithm fucking sucks and it elevates cishet white men.
I was gonna say, I like that we met through TikTok. That was another thing.
Yes.
Also, but yeah, you're not wrong. It does elevate cisgendered white men
and able-bodied
cisgendered white people most of the time. And then when you get,
and most of the time they're, like, homophobic and racist and sexist. And
is that what you get on yours? Because for me, I like, normally they all fit that qualification, except for most of the time, not always, but most of the time, they're not homophobic or transphobic or anything. They're usually people who are still queer or have some kind of neurodivergency to them. And
I don't get that kind of content. I don't get, like, any of, like, the bad content on my feed usually.
I don't get it.
I spend a ton of time just interacting with the people that I like, and so I'm like, that's all I have. But, like, I hate that there's, like, popularity and shit.
Yeah, there's popularity. There's definitely an amount of some sense of classism. That's a thing.
Definitely.
And it's just, it sucks, and it's weird how it works, and I think we're both coming from a place of, we're not trying to be weird as we are both streaming. It is a very honest thing, and if this was on a podcast, I think anybody would agree that what goes on TikTok is kind of a weird clusterfuck of, it's good, it's bad, it brings out information, but it also brings in a lot of misinformation, it brings in a lot of places where people can easily just be shitty people, talk about things that shouldn't be talked about, or not even shouldn't be talked about, but more like things that were never discussed in the first place, because they tend to be very icky or or get, like, to
graphic,
icky. Sometimes some of it is so hard to process too, because you're like, oh my god, how is this real? And some of it, you're like, is this real controversy? Is this real fake news? Like, things like that. Like, it falls into, like, this idea of yellow journalism and kind of bites it in the ass in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like pop sensationalism, how that's a big thing. But then, like, projecting it even further. And how people also use this platform, whether or not to pull up receipts of comments or videos about popular people like Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber, all them. And that drama or other controversies, like actually something I brought up in a older stream on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to go check it out, a lot of it is all linked in the chat. You know, but there's a stream I had called Getting Real About the Toxicity of the Internet. It's me just sitting down in front of a camera, I'm talking, I'm being very blatant and honest, and how I'm going to bring up who the streamer is now because it's been a little bit since I found it, but it had to do with me falling into a rabbit hole where I ended up looking up edits of Bad Lanu because why they have not. Don't get me wrong, I think he's very attractive perception-wise, but I think what interests me more about him is his musical brain and the fact the way he talks about music is very much in a way that I like to have with people, and that not everybody talks like that about music. And I'm like, I get where you're coming from. I get it. I get how your brain is working.
I actually haven't watched a lot of Freddie's streams. I don't think I've been in any of his streams.
Yeah.
But I like him in, like, Tommy and Its videos.
Oh, yeah, no, I get you. He doesn't stream that much either. So,
yeah.
And I have found a smaller streamer who is friends with him that I do watch, and I pop up in her chats. She acknowledges me, but she has, like, thousands of followers. No, not Rue. It was Danny, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. And Danny, even though I pop up in her streams and she has like thousands of followers, she'll still acknowledge me. She'll be like, "Oh, that's cool," and she'll like read it. So it's not like I'm not noticed anywhere. That too. Also, I've been seen in like all the other streamers ones. Like I've been seen in Ramboos and Tubbos. I think I've been seen in Amesy's quite a bit as well. Actually, cool. She is so cool. I actually almost won a giveaway from her. Of the game Night in the Woods, and that was game. I've never played it, so when I first saw her stream it, I was like, this is a game I'm into. I want it. And I was there the entire stream, and I remember I almost won, but I didn't, mainly because she did like 4 rolls because the first 2 people just put their names in and then never came back to stream. The third person was there, and I'm assuming what happened was like they left their computer real quick to go do something. She rolled again, and then it was on me.
Ooh.
And everyone was, like, looking for me in the chat. And I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm here. And then that person came back. And so her last roll didn't count, but she did apologize. I was like, that's fine. But, yeah, TikTok's just a clusterfuck of shit. But basically, back to my point, I found, basically, like, as I was looking for, like, Bad Lanu edits, because, like I said, I aesthetically, besides me perceiving him as attractive, and he's much younger, I'm not opposed to dating someone younger either. Truth be told. And also I don't mind dating somebody who's not cisgender. That's another thing. Like, I feel like people don't talk about that enough either. But too, it's when I found this edit, it was about Rambo. But it was but it wasn't a good edit of Rambo. This was one of those that was exposing his face and his true identity.
No. Okay, those are all fake, and I hate it that people are, like...
See, I wasn't sure if it was fake. That's my thing, because some of it felt very plausible, and some of it didn't, and either way, I did not feel okay with it. I did not feel okay, especially as a fan, but also as a person who, like, doesn't exactly go into that kind of stuff. Happy 2 hours, by the way, guys.
Happy 2 hours, let's go.
Woo! Oh my god, I never streamed this long. Or like when I did, it was like the longest I've done was almost 3 hours. But
the longest I've done was 6 hours.
I don't think my computer could last that long just because of what kind of laptop it is. Also, we're both streaming off of a laptop, guys, so yes, please be kind to us.
Mine is a gaming laptop, so it is a little bit better.
It's a little better, yeah. Versus mine where I could make this shit lag. And actually, I think the one time I did a 2-hour stream, I was starting to play Life is Strange Before the Storm, and then my internet cut off. So then So then you couldn't even see the few progressions I made. And what didn't help was it made my computer lag, and when I looked back at the playtime, it made it lag so much. So I was like, screw it. I'm not going to keep something on here that's going to lag. I remember I tried also streaming Stardew. It just wasn't working. It couldn't work as a separate window for it. And it was just terrible. My God.
Yeah.
But the Rambo edit, that's what upset me. It upset me more because it was trying to expose the identity of somebody who doesn't want to be exposed like that.
And, like, that kind of shit is so stupid. Like, I felt so uncomfy when I saw that stuff circling around. And I was like, I don't get why people don't treat content creators as actual people.
That too. It's like, content creators are still people at the end of the day. They still deserve also, respect.
You're not their friends.
Exactly. And that's something...
social relationship with them.
Exactly. And I think I made this point too. I'm like one of the points I made, I didn't say it like that, but I said it like, they're there to entertain people. They're there to entertain not just you, but to everybody who comes in to the vicinity of their space. So you're not the only person. It's not a one-on-one thing. And even when we've made those innocent searches, which is the quotations I used, is innocent searches, and I said, and I'm a guilty party, because I've done that too, where I've made certain searches that crosses a line, but we've all done it, so it's not like it's nobody. It's like everybody's hands are dirty. We're all like that.
Yeah.
But it was one of those where I brought it up, and like I said, I brought up some of the stuff in like that old stream if you want to check it out yourself. But pretty much it's one of those where I was like, dude, this is just shit that people are. Okay. Yeah, people do this, and it's not okay, and it's just bad. I don't like how people are about it, and it's annoying. It's very hard to like go anywhere on social media, because also now that I'm gonna hop off the TikTok point, like when you go somewhere like Instagram, for example, that one you get people who are more into like toxic positivity and the aesthetics, and then it can get political. Yeah. Well, then again, here's a disclosure. Any form of social media can get political. Even like as I was saying, like earlier in the stream, we got kind of political real quick, and then we kind of pulled away from it. Yeah.
A lot of people know my views on things, because I'm not going to be quiet about that.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
But also, I'm not going to be shitty to people unless they're being shitty to me.
Exactly. And my thing with my political views is I fall on a tether that is very much, in a way, kind of what people would call controversial. Not to say that I'm on, because let's be quite honest, I'm not right-winged. I'm not. That's
me neither.
That's very quick. But it's when I bring up anything that isn't fully on the other side that everyone gets very like, whoa. And that's why I get very like cautious about it, because it can turn into a controversy that I do not want. And it's why I don't state a lot of my beliefs very often. Like I will, like there isn't anything wrong with it, but there are certain things here and there that I don't bring up on the internet, because one, it is a political crossfire regardless.
Oh yeah.
And two, it can spark up anything. And I don't want to spark up something. So it's more just like kind of, it's not that I want to be silent. It's, I know if I do say something, more than likely half of it's going to get a lot of like fire under it in places, and misinterpretation. And, you know, it's one of those where it's like, it's no secret that I am a part of the LGBT community, like both in the fact that I'm asexual as well as biromantic. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I made a TikTok literally stating that. But there are certain things past that point that it's like, it gets very, that's an argument from anybody. So I just kind of keep everything a little more down low, especially because I don't want to cause problems. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. And honestly, this is just like a great, like, this is great in itself.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. Oh my gosh, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the projects, because I feel like we kind of started talking about it, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's this big ass project that I'm working on with my friends, with my friends, the Hate Boys. I'm part of the group, the Hate Boys. We're all very, very cool. It's a secret project, so I can't really tell you anything about it.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
But it's a Minecraft-based project. It's gonna be amazing. I'm also a writer. I'm working on a book with a friend of mine, IRL. It's very cool. It's on Wattpad. I'll actually link it in my link tree so that people can find it.
I got you. Yeah.
It's about demigods and it's very gay and it's like
everything queer.
Everything
queer here.
There's like they're all disabled and neurodivergent as well. So like
even better representation.
And the main character is basically me.
Yeah.
He's my self-insert OC and I love him. He is amazing.
Yeah. I got you. I'm a writer. I surprisingly enough was like one of the things I was saying to a coworker, because a lot of my friends that I've been making now are also ironically either autistic or ADHD.
Yes.
It just happens, okay?
It does. We all flock to each other.
Yes, we do. But I was bringing up to my one friend how basically I was always really good at art. So I kind of was like an art prodigy for a very long time, in a way. Like, and I say sort of more in the sense of nobody ever said, "Oh my God, your art's so good, you should be a professional." But I definitely was good, like really good for how old I was. Like I remember when I was like 6, I did basically like I stared at. Okay, we have like a few minutes left because my one friend's like, "I'm gonna get you," which is probably like 15 minutes, so I don't care. We can keep talking until they get here. Yeah, but basically, you know Jenny B. Jones? I don't know if you're too young for this. I feel old.
Jenny B. Jones?
Yeah, it's like this really... Oh, gosh. Like I said, you might not know, because I am older.
I might not, but also I don't remember things.
Okay, yeah. So, Jenny B. Jones is a very popular, like, series written by, I don't remember who it's written by exactly, but I know she was considered one of the greatest writers for young children, because she writes like a child, as they said. Writes like a child, or writes in the way that a child would understand. Yeah. Like, in that kind of way. And so, you know, my library, we had a painted thing of Jenny B. Jones up there, and I remember I looked at it, and I drew it perfectly replicated as it was up there. Nice. And everyone was very surprised that I would like, I was considered really good, even when I was small. Like, my sister I remember her telling me a story about how, oh my God, please don't tell me this person's here already, this would suck. I
mean, it's alright.
Okay. This person feels bad. I'm like, you're fine. Just, I don't mind. We're having a good conversation. Yeah, but basically, my sister, like, she brought up a story, and it's one that I don't remember. So this is me kind of recollecting everything. Mm-hmm. And basically, what happened was my sister basically was bringing up how, like, my mom was also very impressed by my art skills. Now, I will say I feel like that's kind of genetic, especially because not genetic, it's environmental, to be quite honest. It's environmental factors.
I learned art from him.
Yeah, but here's the thing, my parents never drew that much in front of me. So for me, that's why I make that joke of, I think it's genetic, because both my parents are really good artists. Like, my father, I look at his old drawings, and I'm like, dude, I can still make out what that is. My mother, too. Like, my mother's like, I'm not that good of a drawer, and yet she has literal sketches of sketching a, like, Betty Boop in a certain way, or, like, bows properly, like actual things that are really technical in art, that I'm like, dude, you're both really good artists. I don't know why you keep doubting yourself. You naturally both have a good skill. And then everyone's like, oh, but if you're creative, you're mentally ill. And I'm like, even if that is true, that doesn't change anything. But my sister basically brought up how my mom apparently was praising my skills, and I was really young. I was like 3 or 4. And she was jealous, which tends to be a theme with my sister, and, like, her issues with me and stuff. And it was a drawing I did, and my sister was so upset about it that she erased my name off of it and wrote her own. Like I said, we were small, and, like, if my sister and I were a year and a half apart, so it was like I might have been like 3 or 4, so I'm assuming she must have been like 5 or 6 years old when she did this. So it was like, it was one of those, when she told me that story, I was like, I didn't know you did that, and I'm grateful I don't remember. But that is shitty, yeah. But I think one of the things me and my siblings also got very blessed with, and I'm talking me, my sister, and my brother, because we're the first 3, and we always say, OG3, because we also moved to southern New Jersey like the first three of us, before we had the rest of our siblings. Because we were from northern New Jersey. That's just why, if anybody's like, "You're from New Jersey, you don't sound New Jerseyan," I'm like, yeah, because I messed around with my accent a bit. But yeah, it's one of those where a lot of people from down here sometimes are like, "You sound very northern," and I'm like, that makes sense because we're not from this part of New Jersey, like, like technically speaking. But like, besides the art skills, like, my sister is really good at art too. Like, she's not bad. Like, she's really good. She's a good cartoonist, just like I am. But and also, like, I prefer cartoonism over like anything else. Like, don't get me wrong,
Realism,
I can do realism. Don't get me wrong, I have done it before.
I can also do realism. I just don't like doing it. I have
exactly. It's too much time. Do I want to be using that much pencil, charcoal, and all the other technical stuff like that? Very, very profusely, and be like sitting there putting myself in pain for hours.
Yeah,
that depends. I think I have to be motivated.
Like, this is my art style.
Yeah, see, I like that because you've perfected your cartoonism. My cartoonism is more stuff that like I haven't finalized. Like, I have an art series that I'm still kind of staggering and making. Well, not staggering, but more like I made a second season to it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, but I've always been the pencil paper girl with like the color pencils and stuff. So like I've always been that. Like, those are my mediums that I like.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, I could do digital. I just don't. I would love to learn it just to get the skills down, but
I switch between paper, pencil, and digital. Like, usually to like sketch things out, I'll do it on paper and then I'll transfer it over to digital. But I can't really start doing stuff on digital usually.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's how it is. Like, another medium I did is painting, and actually, hold on a second, I can show you one of the paintings I did. It's not fully complete because I haven't gotten back to figuring out more colors, but I'm going to show you. Hold on a second.
Ooh, that's really pretty. I love that.
It took a lot of work and like literally a hairdryer. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I sat on the floor in this room, painted the background, used a hairdryer to dry the paint quicker, penciled in the outline, painted the outline, painted the white after I dried the outline, and then started doing this.
Nice. I love that. That's so cool. I don't do much painting just because, like, I'm not very good at it.
I'm trying to hang it back up in my room. And as you can see, it's basically like very beautiful, very voluptuous. I got very real.
Yes.
Like, don't get me wrong, there are other improvements I want to make on it. Like, the outline, I like it, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep it that color. Like, I feel like I want to go to like black.
Okay.
Yeah, especially because that color is already on the body too, and I don't want that to mesh so much. So
I get that.
Yeah, but that's like something I've done more with outline, and it's not that I can't paint. I get frustrated with paint after a while. It's funny because it's the one medium I have, or the one talent I have in the creative world that I get frustrated with besides video editing.
Oh, video editing is tough.
It is. I can do it. Like, there are some cheats here and there, but it's like, it gets frustrating, and it gets annoying when you have to hear the same thing like 5,000 times. You're like, but da 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 da, we get it, and you're just annoyed because then it's like you have to. Oh my god. Whew.
That's why I like TikTok, because like I don't get unless I'm like seeing the sound or the same video on my feed all the time. I won't usually like get annoyed by a sound or a trend.
Yeah, sometimes I just fixate on that sound and I reference it a little bit too much. Yeah. Or if it's not that, God, I'm trying to breathe and I'll deal with it off stream. But like, with certain sounds, there are some where I will hop on the trend because I'm like, okay, I like the trend, I like how it's going, let's do it. Mm-hmm. But then when it comes to like other sounds, I'm like, I have a completely different idea of what to do with it.
Yeah.
That's why like, I think you've seen the one TikToks, like the new set of TikToks I've been making called Recreating Private TikToks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for many of you guys who want to check it out, it's also linked in the chat. But yeah, basically, Recreating Private TikToks actually kind of came from me rewatching old TikToks that I've accidentally posted and have made private, or ones that I've made in secret that are actually talking about real people or real situations, but then, you know, filtering it to kind of accommodate both the TikTok community and not to hurt people's feelings. Because some of those videos were referencing real things. Like, there's one that I'll say this now, I will never recreate. And actually, now that we're both on stream, I might just show it on here, because you guys will never know the person. I will know the person the whole way.
And do you really want to put it on stream?
I mean, they don't watch this. That's the first thing. I don't think they know I stream. And two, like, what's worse is people that I know who have also worked with this person don't disagree. So it's more of a, like, actually, hold on. Let me pull this up on TikTok, because that's the thing. If you go on web form, it's not hidden. Like, you don't have to swipe anything. It's actually right there on your thing.
Oh, nice.
So, but yeah, my coworkers who do know, which I doubt any of them really watch, but who do know or who has worked there before, because I know there's a streamer that I'm friends with who he used to work at my job, but you know, due to like getting a different job and really committing to this, he's you know, he's just really good on TikTok. Gosh, I'm bringing up my feed and I'm looking at it as we're talking, but like, basically, it's more of a very, like, the best way to put it is it's kind of a really bad, degrading joke that is actually very true. And I'm saying this because let's just say this now. If you're 16 or over, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you're not, I feel bad for you. Because you won't get what I'm talking about. And I've talked about this before with people and it's kind of like a theory too, in my own mind. I'm like, people are most likely just submissive and dominant due to their trauma and stuff. And I've never tried to say that to be like rude or anything, but yeah. No, or like you're a switch because of that too. And so I'm like, and also another thing you learn in psychology is, here's a fun fact, your kinks are hereditary.
Well, I guess I don't have any kinks.
I like how you say that. I mean, for being somebody who's done the jig before, I definitely know I do. But but like the way that everything is perceived in my lens isn't sexualized. Is the best way to put it. Like, cause
I've never had sex. I don't want to have sex. I'm good.
And that's valid. And that's valid. I'll say that now. Anybody who's asexual, you do not need to have sex just to accommodate other people.
Exactly.
And also, if you do have sex, it's not wrong. Trust me, I went through that phase of when I did. Like, just questioning if I was truly asexual. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, there's the asexual spectrum is a spectrum for a reason. I am on the sex repulse side of it.
I'm more on the sex indifferent, sex positive. So it's more like, I don't care. If you don't want to have sex, cool, we don't have to. But if you do, it's like, all right, I'm not going to say no. All right, so you are going to see this tab that is the page with me. And I'm going to show you which TikTok it is. Here it is. I warn you, the audio.
Look at you! You're just the bottom!
You get why I just... you get why I just completely... It is funny, though. Like, you and I can just laugh at that for like 5 seconds.
Like...
I won't confirm if those people's names are changed or not. Just tell you now.
Me and, a lot of people have called me a bottom, which is funny because, like, I never had sex, but apparently I act like a bottom, which is probably
I get where they're coming. I get where people come from, because unfortunately I'm also one of those people who, for being autistic, weirdly I'm really good at reading somebody like that in a way. And here's the thing, like, I can't read body language. I can kind of read facial expressions, but that's also at a certain limit. And my danger perception is, like, crap. Okay?
Same.
But, like, basically, what it is with, like, the way I describe it to people is, you know those stickers they used to make for kids, where it's, like, where it's, like, the head, and then the body, and then, like, the torso area, and, like, you could change their outfits or whatnot, if they, yeah, so those kind of stickers. The way I put it is, I'm like, you just took away the entire body sticker, and all I have is the head sticker, and that's it. And that's how I perceive it with people. It's like, there is no body sticker. What the fuck are you trying to say? But there is a head sticker, and I know what you're trying to say with that, but there's no body sticker. Yeah. So it's just very much this thing of, like, I kind of understand what your face is saying. I don't understand your body. So it's reading from, like, a point of view of how they speak about certain things, and then how they bring about things in their words. And I feel like part of it's also psychoanalyzing without telling them I'm psychoanalyzing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of a mix of, I'm getting it from your face, but I'm also getting from what you're telling me you like and what you're saying. It's making me think you're like this.
Oh,
yeah. So,
like, for me, I'm very bad at, like, I'm high empathy. I
get that, yeah.
I read people's emotions, but a lot of the time, I don't actually know what people are thinking.
Yes!
Because of tones.
I get that, yeah. Actually, I remember this brings me back to my point when I discovered I was autistic in college, and bringing up to people how I think I'm autistic. And a lot of my friends, when I first brought it up to some of them, they're like, yeah, it was obvious. And I was like, okay, tell me how. Yeah, and a lot of them would tell me. A lot of them would actually tell me what made it very prominent that I was autistic.
Yeah, my friends are like, yeah, you're autistic. But everybody else is like, you don't look autistic, you don't act autistic, you act like a
person. I get it. Or they're like, but how? How are you autistic? Like, you don't seem it. And I'm like, there are things I do that are very obvious.
My boss was like, wait, you're disabled? How are you disabled? I'm like, I got chronic pain. I have ADHD.
Oh, no!
I'm autistic. I also have severe anxiety and depressive disorders.
Oh!
And she's like, you don't look autistic. And I'm like, nothing about you makes me think you're autistic. And I'm like, shut up. Shut up.
You're like, shut up, Margaret. No one needs to say that. Like,
exactly.
I get it. Oh my god. Oh no. See, that's just great. I mean, it's not great that she said that, but
I'm used to it. It's fine.
I mean, I'm also used to it, but like, God, people are terrible.
Neurotypicaling.
Yes. Oh yeah, and back to the points on talents. But yeah, so my siblings and I with music, this is a big one. Because my sister, me, and my brother, we all got very lucky. We all have beautiful voices. We have the vocal talent, which really helps because it's like, oh, wow, we can sing. Great.
Yeah.
And because of our musical abilities, because my parents were also thespians who also did band and choir, they kind of pushed for me, my sister, and my brother to learn an instrument, which I would say it can be very beneficial, but it's also like kind of in itself.
My parents had me play trombone in middle school, and I got really tired of it because they also put me in private lessons, and so I like zoomed ahead of my classmates and I just got bored. And then in high school I started taking piano lessons, and I liked piano. Piano was fun. But then my mom with like, oh, you have to be practicing every day for the specific amount of time, and you have to be practicing, and you can't play anything.
She basically got very extreme on it. Yeah.
And she made me hate piano. And I was like, I want to take guitar lessons. And she was like, no, you have to take piano lessons. I don't want you to be playing guitar. And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah,
so
like, yeah.
Piano lessons.
I get you. Yeah, no. With me, my family is more like, hey, just practice what you can. And my sister was a flautist. And for many people who don't know what that term means, it means she played the flute. My mother was a former flautist. My father used to play the saxophone. Nice. So, yep. I was different in the fact that I chose the drums, which makes sense based on how I stim.
I want to learn how to play the drums.
It's not difficult. It's just I'm really rusty because it's been a long time since I played drums or anything like that. And then my brother... Ooh,
Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. You're fine. I will say when you learn drums, the most important thing is don't be like jiggly. You have to be very,
Yeah.
which is annoying. And I think that was the one thing that annoyed me about drums, especially when I got lessons from the one guy. He's like, "You guys are going." Imagine you have like really thick grapes under your armpits, and you're just like. It was a weird analogy. I don't like the guy who taught me. Okay, and what's worse is I had him as a teacher in middle school too, so it was kind of like. But just not for band, thankfully. But not for band. But my brother, he learned trumpet. He did trumpet.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the rest of our siblings were never super into musical things like that. And one of the things I always tell people is I'm like, you're literally talking to somebody who is a part of a set of siblings who all are vocally gifted, who have all played an instrument, who have all done choir and band and theater all throughout their schooling. Like at some point in their schooling time, we've all done that stuff, like my brother included. I was very shocked when I learned that he did that because he told me, he went, yeah, I have theater classes as well as choir and band, right? I was like,
Nice.
Well, the reason I get shocked, and I'm going to say this now, because I'm very okay with talking about stories about my older sister and my brother, mainly because one, they're both not minors, and two, if anything, I could always retract a story and also be able to get their consent on that versus my other siblings where that's not super easy, which is why I can't exactly do that with them.
Yeah.
But with those two, that was always something that we all shared in common. And, if people think it's traumatizing, it's not a trauma bond. No, it's just we all did all that stuff by choice as well as by the fact that we were developing our musical talents. Okay. And it's not like none of us hated music. None of us did. We all enjoyed it very much. It's just we all had very different aspects of what we liked about music. Like my sister was more into the choir and the a cappella stuff and the theater bits. Like my sister's more of the thespian of the group. My brother, though, he was more into like the making of the music. So like he was very into doing the instrumental stuff and adding vocals and taking out things and add like the technical side of it. And he still makes music today, actually, and everything.
Nice.
Versus me, where I kind of fit in that weird little middle ground of I like that all of this is benefiting. And it kind of helped that I also was super into dance, and I was a dancer at one point in my life as well. So it kind of gave me a bit of freedom to kind of be like, I like roaming into thespianism because I can also dance very freely, as well as use my vocal talents in that sense. But I also liked when I did band because it kind of gave me a different perspective of music. And that's something people don't tell you either. When you learn an instrument and you learn it because you like it and you continue, your brain formulates and completely dissects music in a very different way. And I think me, my brother and sister, that's something we all relate to. That we can all dissect music and separate it very differently. And I hate to cut it short, but I have to go. I have plans. I enjoyed doing this stream with you. I hope the people watching enjoyed it. Yes, it was so much fun. I want to collab with you again whenever we get the chance. Yes, I love this. I feel like I've been talking way too much. Oh my god.
It's fine. I feel like I've been talking not enough. Like, no, I really do like listening to people.
Yeah, and I like being able to freely talk to you about this. Like, this is awesome. Also, for many of you guys, go check him out. I tagged him in my Twitch stream. Go follow him on his socials. Where can they find you?
TikTok, Instagram. I don't post on Instagram that much. It's like maybe like a once every 1 or 2 months thing. Twitter, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I post my VODs there. I'm gonna shout you out on my stream. I also have you tagged. Everybody should go follow Mystery Pisces. I cannot spell.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, hey, what helps is as I'm streaming, it shows the little tagline for my name and yours, so it pops up anyway. But yeah, I hope you guys can go follow Ghosty on their socials. They're an amazing person. They were so sweet to talk to. I love it. This is such a good time. I hope we can also talk off stream about a lot of other things. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. The outro will play as it does, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow at the same time. So see you guys. Bye.
Bye everybody.